Castro, slap me.
And on that note, welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by Cinephiles for Cinephiles. Did you miss us?
Like us.
We're back.
No,
What?
I
didn't
did.
miss you.
No? You didn't miss us?
I missed the audience, but not you.
Oh, okay, great.
Where have we been?
Thank you for holding on.
Where the hell?
We have been taking a much needed
fuck happened to Christmas?
winter break.
That's true, dude.
We planned out this whole Christmas month, and then we right before we were going to record,
Santa died.
Santa, no.
Yeah, it was a year without Santa Claus.
We
It was
found
crazy.
him.
No.
We found him. He's down in the basement.
It's like that movie, the A Year Without without the Mexicans or whatever. You remember that?
That
You
was
guys
based
remember
on-
that?
yeah.
You're without the Mexicans?
Yeah, it's with Steve Martin.
It's great.
Oh, wow.
Is it Steve Martin?
Yeah, it's Steve Martin and I forgot who the female lead is. But yeah, they basically like open
sound
up
like Steve Martin.
They open up the film with like a bunch of like Mexicans like doing their lawn and everything, and then all of them just disappear one day, and
Yeah.
then white people have to do their jobs.
Yeah, it's great. And
Yeah.
this was made like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Really?
It's great. Anyways, Santa Claus did not die. Neither did Christmas, you fucking dick.
But
Hey, where are you
died.
guys sitting? Everything looks
But
completely
that's
different
what
now.
happened. We decided to take a step back and said, what do we need to do? How do we want to go into
Yes.
2025? We want to make sure that the podcast has everything it deserves. And
Wait.
we want to give it the attention it needs and
Happy
the
New
love
Year.
and care it needs. And Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
2025, baby.
So as you can see, our crew here, let's give it up for Mr. Michael Delau, and
Hi.
Mr. Austin Young, and Mr. Eric
50 days
Nunez,
sober.
who isn't here today, but he
here in
we like to
spirit.
kind of give him a shout out right off the bat
Oh,
because
yeah.
Mr. Eric Nunez is signing on to the Towercast Network to be our new producer, a much needed producer.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that's
mean-
why we needed to take a step back and see just what our year is going to look like in Tower and how many more films we're going to be jumping into this year. And, you know, it really does take a village, and we need to make sure our village is doing well. So
he's a
Eric
great
is
producer.
jumping on. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a great
He's a
producer.
great-
He's been a great producer jumping
proven-
on. How are we going to revamp this this show, make sure it's getting everything it needs? And yeah, so
And I mean,
For you guys.
shout out to Eric.
off the bat, I mean, welcome to the new WatchTower podcast and podcast network set,
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
God. It's got a lot more plants.
I know you like.
It's got
What's the
some
plant's name at all?
La Ferguson,
What is it? What is it?
La
telling-
Ferguson, La Jefferquan.
Yeah.
La
What are
Ferguson,
the
the
roots telling
Jefferquan.
you?
Yep,
Feel like you didn't need the Jefferquan.
Jefferquan.
Yeah, no. These guys did a great job.
Yeah, we got
kind of planning the set and making sure that that I wasn't involved in a
Oh.
good way, in a great way, in a great way for me to kind of just step away
Yeah.
as we revamp the set.
I like. I hope one of these days we could do like a season 1, 2, and 3 when we started off at your place, his place.
Yeah.
How we started here with just the round table.
Yeah.
To this
And
now
and
beauty.
this is kind of like I mean I want to talk up the set a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is completely, as you can imagine, revamped lighting.
Yeah.
That was something that I know that we were all when we were talking about before was like,
Yeah.
how do we make this feel nicer? And then we revamped the way the chairs are. This kind of brings us back to that more intimate feel,
Yeah,
which
for sure.
you probably see in the framing right now. Like it feels closer. You
Yeah,
know?
I basically in very me fashion, a director knows that you don't have to know everything about how to run a set. You have to know great minds who know how to do those jobs. And I basically said, I think we need all of this. And it was just like, we need better lighting and more intentional lighting and more intimate set. I miss the intimacy of when we had the table, and I miss this, and we
Yeah.
should do that, and we should do this. I'll see you guys in a few weeks. I got to go travel. And then I come back, and it's fucking awesome. So,
Yeah.
like, it really does wonders for the set. We're utilizing the host space. I know you can't really see it. You'll be seeing it more in our social media posts, so just keep an eye for that. There's going to be
Yeah.
a lot more
Oh, man.
BTS coming your way, a lot more how we make the podcast, a lot more
Yeah.
kind of more
I do get a
intimate
lot of-
moments with us.
I
and,
get a lot
you
of
know.
questions on like how do you consistently put on a podcast?
Yeah.
How does the set go? How many cameras do you need? So
Yeah.
we're gonna give you a little bit of behind the scenes of
in
that.
2025, you'll get to know us a little bit
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
because I know that sometimes we have like the personalities that you probably already know us.
But it's just a small snippet.
But like,
so-
yeah, if you don't know us, like, we're gonna do a little bit more with our social media to get everybody's like involved in what we do
Absolutely.
Yeah.
here because we love this, and we definitely felt like the break gave us a minute to say like, hey, we're in a rhythm. It's good. We want to
Yeah.
keep doing this, but you know, sometimes you need that pause so you can revamp things.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
a key
well
word.
needed. Yeah,
yeah, it's a key word,
Like-
rhythm, because what we didn't want is to fall into a rut.
Yeah.
and I think we were getting close to that. It's like we got comfortable because this is our comfort space. Like
Exactly.
we love
Yeah.
it so much that we just come here to talk cinema and take
That's
a break
right.
off for the crazy kind of world and crazy filmmaking world,
Yeah.
And come back here and just enjoy cinema with friends and stuff like that. But and fellow cinephiles and fellow filmmakers. So.
Comment.
It
Comment
gave
if
us,
you like
yeah,
it.
okay, let us know what you guys think. If there's
Yeah.
something we can do,
Hopefully-
something we can play around with. And we also want much more audience involvement, which is what this month is all about. So let's, it's a great segue into
Yes.
presenting this month. I'm sorry we missed Christmas month this year.
Yeah,
we promise
Christmas
not to do that
died.
to you ever again.
It comes around every day.
We missed it because I
Every day.
so wanted to talk about It's a Wonderful Life. All of us have had our Christmas picks picked out, so we were excited for it, but much needed. So this month we decided to do something that we're going to be doing throughout the year, a couple of times throughout the year, at least 2 or 3 times. Requester kind of situations. This is a full requester month. We wanted to kick this off with a full requester month.
Yes.
On the rest of the year, we're going to be more intentional with our selections, but we definitely want to have more requests kind of slipped into these months. So
Just one rule.
yeah.
No superhero movies.
there
no
are
superhero
no rules. Well,
We haven't done Fight Club yet. But yeah,
I'll do Logan.
this month we definitely want to be more. We've had over, if I counted them correctly, I think there's like
5.
over 25 requests. People like
Keep them
shout
coming
out to
in.
John Gon, to Bones. I know that my wife has had some requests and she put them in.
The homeless guy at
he's
Family
on.
Dollar.
Homeless guy at Family Dollar had some
Right.
requests. No, we
Yeah,
actually
okay.
have had like a lot of you guys message in saying that can we cover this, can we cover that. So we wrote them down. We didn't take them lightly. So
Oh, my coworker Danny.
your coworker Danny. Yeah, I mean, just like a ton of people out there that we love you guys for listening.
Appreciate that.
and we love you more for even suggesting that you
Yes.
guys want to hear
Yeah.
our thoughts for some reason.
Keep interacting. I mean, we've always mentioned that we want more people to like interact with the podcast. So we're gonna
Yeah, we
use
want to be more intentional with that. And that being said, before we jump into today's episode, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe,
Right now.
share
Right now.
this
Do it.
podcast, get the word out there. Like I said, we're going to be more intentional with engagement. You help us do that
Thumbs up.
as well. You know, you're a very big advocate
Or
for the
thumbs
podcast.
down.
Either one, but thumbs up though.
or
That's a gladiator thing. Like
thumbs medium.
Yeah.
please like and subscribe and make sure and let people know that what we're doing here, about what we're doing here. We're talking cinema with fellow filmmakers in the room, which I want to introduce. We have Mr. Michael Ladal giving us a cinematography perspective.
I like camera.
Man, just touching them, just
Oh, and now I'm next
It
to
splashes over. Mr. Jean-Eric Castro.
I'm just I'm just a chill guy. I'm just a chill guy.
Mr. Jean-Eric Castro, fellow actor, giving us an acting perspective, but also a fellow crew member. I'd like to say, I'll introduce the last person, Mr. Austin Young, making sure we're sounding good on the ones and twos there. Our producer editor offering those perspectives.
The backbone.
Oh no, I just switched to the wide.
Wow,
I
you
hope
gonna
you
start this
switch
again?
to you,
We
because-
we have the biggest camera in the room for you.
Yeah,
and
and
you're
you're the
over here
best.
Why?
Wait,
Because
wasting.
I'm the
Yeah.
biggest guy. You have to get the biggest camera for the biggest guy here.
No, it's because we love you and you said the color science was off. Okay, that's why.
So we have to switch it back
No,
over
what
there.
I'm understanding is you got the biggest camera for the biggest guy here.
Man,
I'm your humble film servant, Cardo
Is it the
Sendo,
shirt?
offering a
Are
writing
you
directing
humble,
perspective.
though?
Fuck no. But here we are.
and we like him for that. Fuck the humble.
Fuck the what?
Fuck the humble.
Fuck the humble. We ride.
All of them?
We were also making a movie. It's important to note that part of our time away from this was
Oh, yeah.
like we turned our studio into a nightclub and
That
made a
is
film.
true.
I was making
And-
shit.
All this was a nightclub.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, not in
Well,
here.
and here
Oh.
was Producer Central, but
They don't know that.
But out there was this full club and
Yeah. That was unexperienced.
yeah, it was great. We had a great time. We had a great cast and crew. So thank you guys if you guys are listening in.
Are you allowed
Yes.
to talk about the onset injury?
Yeah, I guess I took a bit of a fall, a rumble and a tumble and a stumble.
He
And what's
fell
the
down.
film title?
He did like a straight.
The other
Slowest-
fall guy.
No. He did like a straight, like at minimum.
Like 8 foot.
No, I want to say at minimum like 10-foot drop onto wooden stairs.
Yeah.
And
It
was
looked like he
fun.
didn't even try to get
Don't do
himself.
drugs, kids.
it was our first time having a set medic, so he was
was great.
fine-ish after.
No, thankfully I'm okay. Everything, and that's the problem is that we have so much wood in this building. I'm gonna knock on my bamboo because my producers jinxed me. My producers jinxed me. That one over there,
That dude over
that
there.
one especially, actually takes a look around and tells me
I knew it.
nothing wrong has gone on the
Oh,
set.
dude.
Nothing bad has happened on the set.
unwritten
What
rule
happened?
set.
And then he's like,
And
I'll be
then-
back.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'll be back. Gonna go
Is that
smoke
the
a cigar
equivalent
on the
of, like-
roof.
Is that the equivalent of like service workers saying it's been a quiet day?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
exactly
boom,
what.
like 8 people just show up.
Who knows, man? Maybe Josh. Shout out to our set medic Josh. Was probably
Unwritten
just like,
rules.
I'm bored.
I'm bored. I hope something happened.
Oh, yeah.
Banana
No,
peel.
thankfully we had a great set. That was like the worst thing that happened, and we had a great cast and crew.
So excited
everybody
to
was
share
just
that film.
firing on all cylinders, and I mean we really utilized the soundstage like to its full capacity.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
an amazing
It
feeling.
was a great set.
Yeah, we
Really-
had a great
really
time.
beautiful by this guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I was the best boy.
He was the best boy. Grip,
Best boy.
electric.
You were the goodest boy.
I was the
You were
goodest boy.
the goodest of the boys.
I was
and then
all
Mr. John
boys.
Arcastra was actually ACing for us.
Oh, yeah.
On this, so he was making sure camera
I'm
was doing
falling in
well.
love with everybody, you know, all these things that these guys talk about. So I'm falling in love with the camera. I'm falling in love with the lighting, everything. So I
He
got
was
to
on
work on this one. So
Yeah, and
I
then,
appreciate it.
Yeah, and then Austin and I were producing, and
Executive producing.
I was exec producing, and then Austin was
Put this
producing.
place
and-
together.
And then also there's going to be a little documentary behind the scenes.
Yeah.
stuff.
Shout out to
That's
Francisco
cool.
Castañeda, our good friend of the show, and in cinema and in life. Yeah, him and his wife actually was the female lead of the film.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, my bad, but I was going to say, like, man, I wish we could give these guys a tour, but with that little documentary.
We'll do a little, at the very least, a little sizzle reel with that footage.
Exactly.
He has other plans, which I can't reveal just yet with the footage.
Also, some BTS pictures have already gone up on.
Yeah,
social
some
media.
BTS pictures have been up on social media. Shout out to Christ Chavez.
Nice.
The best photographer in the biz, man. He's just amazing and never
A lot of photos.
ceases to impress me because, like, he did the BTS for my film, the
Did you finish going through them,
pictures. And I thought, oh, yeah, it's Christ. Like, he's going to have fun with this. And then
But I love it.
I feel like he even had more fun. Like, mine was grainy and kind of vintage feeling. This one felt like dark and gritty. And, like,
Oh,
the
no, and
BTS
then-
pictures were telling their own story in a
Like-
great way.
For sure.
Christ really did a great job of like taking his time with the photos because even we're like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna like edit him. He's like, no, there's just so much that I took and
Yeah.
like that I'm going through that I'm really
In
enjoying.
camera.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
It
so
looks good.
Yeah, Christ is always the best, man. Like, he's awesome. So
Christ
shout out
is
to
good.
Christ. Christ is great. This is his real name. We're not making fun of anybody here. This is his real legal
I'm not gonna
name.
say what I
He's a
wanna
good
say.
friend of ours. He's an
I have
amazing
my own words
photographer.
and I say my own
And,
words.
I'm sorry to segue. I just want to add one more thing. I remember that the other day, like, Christ has been getting me on a couple of gigs, also doing photography, which has been great. But I got on one. I can't say with who. With him, and I remember Austin coming up to me, and he called me on the phone, and he's like, "Oh, so you're gonna do that gig with Christ? I guess Christ doesn't love me anymore." and then like he says, "Oh, I guess Christ doesn't love me anymore." And then like he hung up, and then my mom comes in the room, and she's like, "Is that true what I just heard? Austin thinks that Christ doesn't love him. Christ loves everybody." And I was like, "Wrong Christ, mom. That's fine."
Yeah.
This is the one that
Is
drinks,
there a
you know?
wrong Christ?
Oh,
This is the question
that's
we have
too
to
deep.
ask
That's
ourselves.
too deep
A
for
very
me.
meta question, like a very meta film.
Oh!
Today we're here to talk about
We get excited with a new set.
2001 Space Odyssey.
1998 Peter Weir's The Truman Show.
Peter
You might-
Wiener's.
not Wiener,
Hey,
definitely not
whose
Wiener.
request was this?
This was John Gon's request.
yeah.
Mr.
Wait,
John
John
Gon
Gon?
himself.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Dude, this is my
Jonathan Gonzalez,
second-
fellow filmmaker and cinephile.
Watcher,
And
yeah.
cinephile. He this is one of his favorite films. I always hear him talking about this film. Not that we hadn't seen it. I feel like
Shout out
everybody
to
here
John
saw it,
Gon.
right? Everybody here had seen it before, right?
Great taste, John. Gon. Yeah.
No, kind of.
Nah, this guy has, bro.
I do feel like I haven't
You're
seen it
gonna
in a
learn a
long.
little bit more about this guy.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I did feel like I had only seen it in parts.
Same. Oh no,
So
no,
I kind
no,
of
no.
felt like I was. I've seen it a lot. I just, it just hadn't come back
Dude,
to me.
I
a lot.
was that kid that got out of the theater and I was like, "Is there a camera on the radio? Is there a camera on these?" Dude, for like a whole week, even in school.
You know
Ah,
what's
so is there
crazy?
a camera in front of you?
And now he always wants to be on camera.
You know what's freaking me out? Because now that you're using the board, it's not red. It's going green, and then that one.
Wait, does it actually tell you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
that's
Which
pretty
camera
cool.
you're on and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But no, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because this is the power of cinema, ladies and gentlemen. Again, shout out to Jonathan Gonzalez because
Shout out
he
to
picked this
Jonathan.
film and he picked a lot more films, which we'll try to figure out.
yeah,
to
we're gonna
get
figure
back
out
on.
as many as we can get.
But the Truman Show was important. Our producer actually picked this, Eric Nunez. He said, "Hey, we should kick off with the Truman Show. I feel like that's a good filmmaker kind of filmy thing to talk about as we come back in."
Yeah.
And rightfully so because I was having this conversation with my wife about cinema because we went to go screen kind of two films back to back. This was a month ago or so,
Back to back.
we screened that film We Live in Time with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rom-com, traditional rom-com thing, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good, and you know, she wept at the end of that film, and she was like, "This was great," and you know, and then again,
That's cool.
it touched
Yeah.
certain kind of aspects of her life that she's
Yeah.
going through right now. And so again, cinema's
That's
powerful
cinema,
that way,
yeah,
right?
that's cinema.
And we got to talk about it, and then I think literally the very next day we were going to go watch Anora, and that one like spoke to me,
Yeah.
and I remember walking out of the theater, Castro, similar to your notion about this film. I walk out of and we'll talk about this in our Oscars episodes, I'm sure, because
It's gonna be
that
Oscar-worthy.
film is going to be a fucking Oscar film. Mark my
worthy.
words. Yeah, Mikey Madison, man, she was terrific. But I walk out of the theater, and I'm quiet the entire time. Something you'll rarely ever see me do is be quiet.
What?
Well,
And
you
this was something my wife said. She was like, "What do you think? You think?" And then I'm walking through the theater and I'm doing that, but I'm also walking to the theater and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. And she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, we got in the car and I was like, "Man, that's insane how crazy strong cinema is." Like I walked out not trusting anybody. Like you walk around in the city of El Paso and you're like, yeah, you might know half of the people here and you'll bump into somebody you know, or even if you don't, you kind of know you're okay. You walk
Like-
out of an Alamo Draft House and you're not going to get shot or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But and not that this film focuses on like that, but it focuses a lot on trust.
On trust.
And I walked out of the theater being like holding Sandra close, like,
Oh, dude.
I don't trust anybody. I don't fucking trust anybody.
never
here.
trust anybody.
And you know what I'm saying? And then we go eat afterwards, and she's like, I didn't talk. I didn't talk the entire
You were
time till we
just-
got to the restaurant, and we're sitting down, and I'm just like,
going
and we
through-
had just watched these two films back to back, and she's like, "What did you think?" And she's like, "Oh, I think this," and I liked We Live in Time more, but Honora was really great, and then I was like, once I finally kind of spoke, I was like. Like it was phenomenal. Like it's swimming in my head a lot, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It was just one of those things that like immediately
Nora.
spoke to me. And then I end up learning later that that Sean Baker, the director, ended up taking influences from like Fellini and my favorite Fellini films, a film called Nights of Siberia and I was like, of course, that's it interlaced and everything about her character. And it's so great. And it just really spoke to me. But again, the sentiment that is how cinema affects you and you walking out and feeling like, what the fuck am I? And the Truman Show does that.
Yeah.
I think the Truman Show makes you think, Delal and I were talking about this during the screening where there's a New York Times article in 2008 about people going to their therapists and saying, I feel like I'm the star of my own reality show.
I
And
can
now
definitely
what
see
that's
that with
turned
this
into
type
in
of
this
society.
generation, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. Are we in a simulation?
Yeah.
That's the common topic of
I'm like
2021, 2022,
99.9% sure.
2023 was like we're in a simulation. None of this is real. There was a pandemic. There's people controlling it. Like
Yeah.
that was an actual conversation. It still is an actual conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody has those moments where I'm like if a number of my favorite things are coming together for something to happen,
Mm-hmm.
I end up feeling like someone's controlling this shit.
I've been in those
John
moments.
Mayer playing with the Grateful Dead, for being in the band, or like Spielberg and Scorsese and PTA
Oh,
teaming
yeah,
up
exactly.
to do the
Just
TCM thing. Like that shit's like, nah, there's
Yeah,
something fishy going on here. But yeah, no, again, we all have those moments, and the
Yeah.
Truman Show is timeless for that, right? It makes
Yeah.
you feel like
See, I'm kind of like jealous because I don't know if people will feel it. Like, this is always a topic in our podcast. If they see it today, now with social media, which is a great way into talking about social media and reality
Oh.
TV, right?
Well,
But just the whole thing of like, could it be done today?
oh
I
yeah,
think so.
absolutely.
I think so. Reality TV is
back in the day, there was no cell phone cameras. That's why when I left the theater, I really thought people were watching me for like a whole week. Now with cameras,
but
it's kind of like,
I think the difference being that like the whole cell phone thing is like, are people spying on me?
Yeah.
But I mean, I also
Ooh,
think
that could
that
be
with this one, it's more than spying. It's the fact that everything except for you is artificial.
It's a fabrication.
Yeah, it's a fabrication.
It's a complete fabrication.
The whole
that's what I was thinking. Just
what I was gonna say when you guys were asking, like if I had seen it before, and I was gonna wait for the podcast. I had seen this one a lot, like a lot. But
like as a kid, or
no. I when I was taking my intro to philosophy class, this was one of the first things they showed you, and then we ended up having to write like a big paper on it. But the whole parallel that they were doing is this idea of like Plato's allegory of the cave. And a quick summary is that there's people in a cave and there's a fire behind them, and basically it paints like shadows on the wall. So the whole idea is that there's these shadows on a cave wall, and there's these people chained up, and all they see is basically the shadows, and they think that the shadows are real creatures and all that. And they don't realize that there's just a light behind them, so that's what's creating the shadows. And one person is able to go outside of the cave and see the real world, and come back in and tell them like, "Hey, these shadows are just they're just shadows. They're not real."
Yeah.
And how would people respond? And what is your obligation to tell them the truth? And that's what this one also kind of portrays. Like, if you discovered the truth, what is your obligation to tell them? What do you think you should do? Because kind of like with Truman, if you decide I'm gonna stir the pot, I'm gonna tell everybody it's fake, it's all not real. Well, then you're gonna get the people like his wife that say, I don't believe you. Like, maybe you're just imagining things, or you're having a rough day at work or whatever. You're gonna have the people that maybe like pretend to believe you, but are they also fabrications? And then it's like
it's a progression of loneliness, don't you think? Because at first you think it's everything. It's everyone. Like nobody knows. Nobody knows that this is real. And then it grows to be like, no, you're starting to believe everybody's in on it. That means you're the only one out of the loop. And then it starts becoming like the most loneliest person in the world syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, it's
and then what's more important? Is it more important to go back in and just say, I'm going to accept that if it's all fake, and this is what I have to play with, I'll play with, and at least have friends and family and a wife and maybe a kid one day? Or do I abandon it all and go out on my own?
Yeah, throw caution at the wind. I mean, is being ignorant really bliss?
Yeah.
You know, is ignorance bliss, actually? Is being oblivious bliss? I mean, not for him.
No, yeah.
Right?
No, because at the end of the day, once he starts feeling like, I think this is all fake, you know, it's kind of like, I don't care if I die. Like, I'd rather experience something that's actually real and something that's not fabricated than have to go on this way, you know?
Yeah. Very, very interesting
philosophical topic.
Film, yeah. No, and it's interesting because this is a film I think does an interesting play, something that I hadn't seen since the early golden age of cinema, 1940s.
Wait. This is an original story, no? This hasn't been told like this.
It's actually technically based on a novel.
Nah, get out of here. I did my research. This is original.
No, it's based on a novel. There's a novel that plays with the same idea from the 1920s.
Okay.
But it's not a direct, adaptation or anything like that. But what I was going to was that in terms of how this film was made and in terms of what, there's a really interesting balance between lightness and darkness in this film. It's a very dark topic, if you really allow it to be.
It is. What are you talking about?
You cast somebody like Jim Carrey in his first dramatic role ever, by the way.
Cable guy. Kind of.
Stop.
No, I know what you're getting, but this was the first time.
His first intentional dramatic role.
Exactly,
I mean, I don't think Judd Apatow or Ben Stiller aimed for Cable Guy to be
true. But it was the first one we saw him where he wasn't over the top. Ace Ventura.
Yeah. So
this one was a
as
little
I
more
understand
grounded.
it correctly, they get Jim Carrey fresh off of Ace Ventura 2,
and then Liar.
because it reminded Peter Weir of Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
It reminded, his animated kind of self reminded him
Absolutely.
of Charlie Chaplin. And he said, well, this is great. You get somebody like this to combat the dark, because of his light
why I
kind of
wanna talk
demeanor,
about
of
Jim
his
Carrey's
light kind of,
performance.
and more so, I mean, like Robin Williams was in line to play this role. It would have kept it somber and dark with just the way Robin Williams is, because though he was comedic and though he was animated, you can see the pain in his eyes. You can see the emotion in him.
I'm thinking Good Will Hunting,
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey has never said yes to a role faster than this film, than The Truman Show, because
I can
he
see why.
wanted to break out into dramatic roles.
Yeah.
And again, it was his choice to do this. But again, it's like how we always talk about with comedy. Sometimes playing it straight is the funniest thing ever. It's funnier than trying to be comedic.
Right.
In this scenario, it's kind of the opposite, right? It's the more he leans into the lunacy of this thing, the more it plays into how serious of a role he's actually playing.
Right.
And again, it combats that thing. So like, the reason I like say it's kind of like a studio film from the 40s is because the studio system back in the day did a really good job of after the Hays Code of not limiting people, like not censoring situations, not censoring, but keeping a lightness to where, like, if you were going to tell a joke about sex, innuendos or whatever, you're going to keep it classy, you're going to keep it light.
Right.
But you're going to let the dark kind of commentaries come up on their own. Mm-hmm. It already exists in the source material that you don't have to force it. You don't have to it doesn't have to be a film direct. Like Tim Burton was in line to direct this film, for instance.
No.
You had Brian De Palma was in line to direct this film. Scarface, Brian De Palma. So It was one of those things where, like, I think Paramount called this their most expensive art film to date. At $60 million budget. And the writer originally was supposed to direct the film. I forget the name of the writer. The writer went through 16 drafts of this film because it was too dark.
Yeah, I read that too.
It was mad dark. It had darker, connotations about things and about how life is fabricated and everything is for sale and just all sorts of things that Peter Weir was like, I'm not going to direct this. I don't want to sign on to this if we don't get a lighter script. But they didn't allow the writer to direct because he was a first-time director. They're not going to give him $60 million to play on a first-time director. And so he kind of just rewrote the script until the studio was happy. But I kind of give my kudos to Paramount in this scenario because it is an art film.
Yeah.
But it's a studio film, and that's very rare. It's palatable enough for the mass audience to understand, but it's very deep. It's very intentional in its lighting and its artificial lighting and its artificial lighting in front of your face lighting, how we're going to use the music, but the music is also meta because it's being played in front of them. I mean, it's very, very, very deep. The product placement of it all, even the stuff that you don't even see. I mean, there's Fords in Ford cars. Every single car in this film is a Ford car. Nobody says that. Nobody tells you that. But the connotation with that is like, oh, Ford sponsors this show also.
Well, except the Volkswagen Beetle.
Well, except the Beetle. But again, it has to be different from the other ones, right? For him to like recognize it in a loop and stuff like that. So those things, again, for me, gives it this great balance of being a successful studio picture that made tons of money, but also an art film that's trying to tackle something with depth and substance. You don't see that anymore. We don't see that anymore in studio pictures. And what's more is we haven't really seen that since like the 1950s, the golden age of Hollywood.
It's because of the art style.
There was not a nice marriage of these two things, of a studio picture and an art film of substance.
Exactly.
It's rare. It's super rare. So kudos to Paramount for taking risks at the time.
Closest we're getting now is like stuff that like Astrid's doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, even
A24 isn't a major studio, at least by traditionals.
No, yeah.
It's becoming one, but no, it's not there yet.
No, yeah, but I mean, like something like this, you definitely feel the backing. I mean, they could have used this whole. I think you said this is the Warner backlot.
No, I thought it was the Paramount lot, but they ended up building the entire set in Florida.
Oh,
And they actually got a small town.
It was a small town?
It was a small town. It looked like the Paramount lot because there's buildings that I always recognize it when you guys bring up the TED show, the teddy bear, the Seth MacFarlane thing. The high school of the of that set used to be the offices of producers on the Paramount lot.
oh wow.
So when you take the tour and stuff, or if you've been there, you know that it's like this. It's almost like on the Universal lot, the courthouse from Back to the Future has been dressed to be the high school in Dawson's Creek or the fucking like it's dressed set to be different things.
Right.
In the Paramount lot, it wasn't supposed to be a set. It was the producer's building. It was where they have their offices, but they turned it into a set. And this one looked like that, like that small kind of section of the building he works at or whatever.
Yeah,
it looked like that, but it wasn't.
it was all built.
It was all built, and in South Florida, apparently they did a scouting trip that. They go to the set. They go to this beach town, and they kind of take a scouting trip, normal scouting trip. And Peter Weir, the director, says, "All right, boys, unpack your bags. This is it. This is our city."
You found it.
And the following week, they were in pre-production. Like that's how fast it went. He like fell in love with this town. Oddly enough, one of the original scripts, it was supposed to be New York. It was supposed to be a fabricated city,
That would
New
have
York
been
City.
way too hard. Just thinking.
Well, maybe logistics, right? But the reason Peter Weir changed it was because he thought it felt too sci-fi to make this artificial cityscape, you know?
Yeah.
Where if you know the looks of this, it's modeled after 1960s commercials.
Yeah.
That's what the lighting is.
It feels
It's
very like nuclear family. White picket fence and stuff like that. I mean, you know, when you see all the men have business suits on, and they look very 1950s
And why do you say that,
formal.
So that's the juxtaposition. Well, that's the counter kind of juxtaposition, right? The New York City, dark, gritty, almost like Escape from New York feel that we all know, to like a nuclear family.
Like when you see
bright lights, natural lights coming in from the windows, and a beach town, and
even the ads, all the like the I don't know what's called, the golden era or so. When you look at TV, where you know, like Leave It to Beaver, it's these very happy families that go and they're like, I have to go to my job now. And I feel like everywhere he walks, like none of that feels real. Like if you ever look at any of those like 1950 shows and all that, those like happy go lucky families, like it doesn't
Seems
feel
like they park in the middle.
like the kitchen is not natural. The kitchen is just this very clean thing. And
it feels like I don't know if you guys ever got to see that show, The Good Place.
Yeah.
Did you ever see The Good Place?
Yeah.
It's about the afterlife and how everybody has this beautiful home, and you know they get to finally relax in the afterlife, and then it ends up turning out that it's a type of hell.
It's a type of hell.
Yeah, and it's all fabricated, and it's actually something else. And again, there's a whole thing, but again, the beautifying kind of aspects of that feels like that. Also with aspect ratios. I mean, the initial release of the film had a 1:8:1 aspect ratio.
Okay.
But they also played a lot with TV aspect ratios. Not quite 4:3, but certain shots were more square.
Yeah.
You know. So those are all, and then we'll talk about it when we get to the cinematography, because a lot of the lens choices, a lot of the dome lenses and stuff like that plays into that aesthetic.
Right.
We should probably get into ratings.
Okay, well, this was John Gunn's choice. So, John Gunn?
I think he's saying you.
Oh. Should I?
This isn't like the Truman Show where he can talk back and we can. It's not.
Oh, no. He talked in my ear.
Oh, okay.
He said he
what's
wants
funny?
the Lao Carlos Gasso than me.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
We just hear, whatever you want.
Hey, that's true.
God damn.
Okay.
I can start it off if you want.
You want to start it off?
I'll start it off.
Okay.
You want to start off?
Start it off, Castro.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go clockwise.
Count.
Clockwise. I'll give you a little bit why my rating, and then I'll give you my rating.
What?
I think.
How about you give us your rating and then why you're rating?
Okay, I'll give it a 9.3.
Even IMDb's asking, how would you rate the Truman Show?
Damn, 1 out of 12 stars. What the hell?
I know, that's kind of weird, right? All right, anyways.
I feel like I say this about all Jim Carrey's films,
Wait,
but
what'd you say is the 9 point what?
9.3.
9.3.
Yeah, 9.3.
Fair.
I'm trying to figure out why I won't give it the 0.7, but I feel like all Jim Carrey films, this was perfect for Jim Carrey. I think it blends perfect for the plot, right? You need this character that's vulnerable, that, you know, kind of plays off comedy, but still keeps you kind of with the drama. And I think Jim Carrey, at his time in his life, I think he had this perfect, subtle comedy that he was working with that blended really well with this one.
Yeah. And this was Jim Carrey at the height of his career, quite literally. I mean, he was getting $20 million offers.
Right.
He took 12 to be
shit.
able to make this one because he really wanted to make it. But this he could have done fucking comedies for 10 years and reap the benefits of just making 20 mil a film, 50 mil a film, and just fuck it, you know. But no, he did a very good
And
choice.
I can see that why. You know, you don't want to get stereotyped and shit
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, Jim Carrey alone, I'll talk about right now in his performances. But
Yeah.
Ed Harris, the antagonist.
Ed Harris is terrific.
What would you call him? Antagonist, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. Definitely an antagonist. But
Well, where's the protagonist?
Jim Carrey's.
Come on, bro.
No. Yeah, I think Ed Harris is just a complex character.
Yeah,
You know what's very cool about that while we're on the topic? The director, Ed Harris, got hired last minute.
He
They
wasn't
fired-
supposed to be.
Well, they didn't fire. He walked off the set.
Was he supposed to be?
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper. Fuck, I was
Dennis
tripping.
Hopper. Dennis Hopper, which would have been fucking awesome.
No,
Because,
it wouldn't.
yes, it would. Dennis Hopper's a director, first an actual director.
Give me a movie that kind of would give me a kind of visual of him trying to do Ed Harris on this one. Chris
Blue Velvet. Oh. Blue Velvet. But I mean, aside from that, he
Wait, is
was
he the kid from Blue Velvet?
no. He's the daddy wants Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baby wants blue velvet.
But or baby wants Blue Velvet. Yeah, but no, he's also a director though. So I feel like Dennis Hopper. I mean, you guys saw him in Apocalypse Now too. Like, there's something there that would have been interesting to me.
I love Dennis Hopper.
Nah, I think Ed Harris was good too.
Ed Harris was great. I'm just saying, Dennis Hopper was actually originally he filmed for a day, and then he walked off the set because he got in a fight with Peter Weir, and then he turns around and goes and makes Ed TV.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude, it's such a similarity. Yeah.
Ed TV is basically like Truman Show. If you haven't seen it, it's with Matthew McConaughey, and it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Not as effective,
No,
but
he knows.
but yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a fuck you from Dennis Hopper.
Probably,
that was just like a fuck you. I'm gonna go make the
other.
other movie that's exactly like this. But anyways, Dennis Hopper leaves. Ed Harris gets hired. Ed Harris gets very little time to prep this character because they were already rolling. But what happens is Peter Weir gives him a 10-page backstory for his character. Things like he was an unhappy child. He grew up with a hump in his back or whatever, like Irajorawal. And he always wanted the perfect ideal life, which is why he created the show, to make someone have the perfect ideal life.
And I bet you they didn't give us that backstory just so
No.
we could hate this guy.
Yeah, but it makes Ed Harris as an
Exactly.
actor want to portray some sympathy for this character. That's why the scene of like, I loved you, I saw you grow up, I saw you take your first steps, I saw you, like, I created you in a sense. It makes you empathize with him at least a little bit.
How does that line go? Where he's like, I saw your first camera. Like, you didn't have a camera in my head. Or something.
Yeah.
Ah, dude.
You know, so it was interesting to see Ed Harris really dive into this character. I had only really ever known Ed Harris from another role from a film that everybody hates for whatever reason, but National Treasure 2.
Oh yeah,
The big guy.
one.
I like his character there because, again, he's an antagonist until he isn't.
Yeah.
You know, and he just wants credit and he wants to be in history books. And, you know, I like Ed Harris. I like
He's
Ed
pretty
Harris.
good. I
think
saw
it's
him in Westworld. He's pretty.
In Westworld.
He's a good range, yeah.
Okay. 9.3.
9.3, yeah. Just that, and then just the whole aspect of,
What if?
yeah, like what if you get this kid? I don't know why it hasn't been done nowadays, but what if you get this kid from birth?
They didn't explain that either, right?
Well, they kind of did, no?
I mean, the whole thing was the girl, the love interest, the one that wants this all to be over, and then you steal a kid and you profit off his life or whatever. But the original scripts really did have a whole, your parents abandoned you, they fucking used you. You know, like, again, darker connotations that are in the subtext.
Like
with the
your
girl.
life was sold.
Yeah. The girl bringing up this protest is easier to digest than your parents fucking sold
Yeah,
you, dude.
that's a little
Like,
bit more digestible,
it's interesting. But yeah, you get those in the subtext.
So yeah, I'll give it right now for 9.3. That's
9.3.
quick.
Mr. Lalo.
Oh man, I'm battling. I'll say this: as I've matured as a lover of cinema, dare I call myself a cinephile? Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not proud of it.
There's a playground,
No,
it's so high.
I originally, when I was first getting into movies, before I got into the idea of like making movies, these were one of the films that I loved the most because just the story had so much to chew on.
Sure.
The concept is so vast and has a lot of implications, and even though like a lot of us walk around living like normal lives and everything, you know, it does make you question those facets of like, are these things fabricated? Like relationships can be fabricated, or like connections, you know? So
that conversation with a friend on like, if everyone's in on it, then I'm in on it.
yeah.
And I'm not in on it. I'm your friend. You know, it's
No, and I mean, even like, you know, you don't have to be living in a simulation or in a, like a Truman Show-esque world to have that feeling. Like there's a lot of people that, you know, they'll have relationships with somebody. And it's like, are you with me for me, or are you with me because of what I can give?
Right.
You know, and if you look at everybody there in the show, that's exactly it. They're all there, but it's like, oh, we're here because of Truman. Like we have a job where, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, all that to kind of say that I love the concept, and I mean, I feel like the script and the story is a 10 out of 10. Like, you can really feel the refinement in a lot of the techniques and in a lot of like maybe the execution. I'm battling whether I loved it or not. I feel like
that's fair.
there were some parts where there are just some parts where I was just like, it's not punching as well, or the pacing's
not strong enough?
or the pacing's kind of off for me. But because of the story and how like good Jim Carrey is at holding the role, I have to give this one a lot of merit, but I want to leave it somewhere around like an 8.4.
That's fair.
I feel like it's a good film, but technique wise, I can maybe see where another director coming in could have offered a lot more substance when it came to the execution.
And it would have been a totally different film, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's the interesting thing to play around with as I think as filmmakers, is because I'm with you. I think I'm with you.
Give me a scene or a part of the film where it kind of like you're saying it kind of didn't.
You look at a lot of the interactions that he has with people, and it's on the nose that it's these fake things. And I know that that's part of the script and all that. When he goes to the grocery store, when he goes, when he knows and when he doesn't know, when he bumps into those two old men, and it's these very playful moments and gleeful and all that kind of stuff. I feel like if you're a director who has a lot of confidence in what you're able to get off of the subtlety of cinema, because a lot of times you don't have to show a whole lot for it to like.
See,
affect.
that's why my bad. Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say I feel like a director that could have played more into the subtlety would have brought in a lot more of those ideas of like. Like, oh, wow, it's not even the big things that change. It's the little glances and glares that make you feel uneasy.
Spielberg was in line to direct this film. He was one of the guys who directed. And again, Spielberg is a master at taking a studio film and making it personable and making it have a little more substance. But that's why there's a difference. And my biggest like contribution to this point of the conversation is it's a studio film. They're going to get the safe studio director. Yeah. Peter Weir had just come off the success of Dead Poet Society. You know, a studio film, it's not heartwarming because dude kills himself, but like it's very family friendly, not a ton of depth.
No, even like in the visuals are very I'll even
they're
say
very
like,
safe.
They're very fun, you know?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think like that would take away from it being like that Pleasantville.
No,
keep those shots kind of not boring, but kind of like
because
I just think it's safe. I just think it's a safe choice. I think it's a studio choice.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you get somebody like Brian De Palma to direct something like this, the way they were trying to do, and De Palma met with Jim Carrey and shit like that, and
look at the difference when Jim Carrey is realizing that something's off with the world and he's walking through the city, and I mean the feeling you get from that, and then also with the way the music is, it's this very kind of like peppy, waking up kind of music.
Yeah.
But not on the
nose. No, but
well, I mean, no. It is on the nose. It is on the nose, but it's meant to be on the nose.
Yeah.
It's meant to be in your face that this is a TV show,
and it's also meant to be in your face that he figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's not subtle.
And you could also be a little more like use the drama elements to your benefit. For instance, I would have loved to, or what I would have probably explored is the moments he finds out, doing a Dutch angle in certain angles, his world really shifts, and therefore the set shifts. Like I would have played with those elements, and though that feels like it's kind of on the nose dramatically, it's that's kind of the point. It's perfect framing, it's perfect lighting, but the minute he finds out, if that shifts, then the reality shifts. I'll give you that. Stuff like
just
that.
Just from the way Ed Harris was doing his character, where he really wants those shots. Yeah. I'll give you that. But I think they went the route where they don't. I keep saying that for a lot of films where they don't want to get your attention away from this.
Well, they don't want to alienate the audience. That's why they're safe choices. When directors that take more risks,
Which is
tend
fine.
to alienate the audience.
Fine when you can take.
Studio pictures, audience is God. So, like, again, and there's nothing wrong with that. This doesn't take away from the merit of the film.
Like the one where it's on the dashboard.
No.
I didn't like any of the dome shots personally.
How would you pull that off? It's meant to be uncomfortable because it's not a camera on you. They're hitting cameras.
You know what you could have done? Especially like I forgot what there's this one shot where he looks at a camera and then it like looks really clear that it is a camera, and then you zoom in on Jim Carrey like a close-up shot, and then you see that kind of like, and he's great at expressions, but I mean he really put all of his energy into being like, huh?
That's
It's
part
a
of the
camera. So then with that,
part of the
it's meant
That's why I'm so jealous that you guys. This is back in the day. Holy shit. That's a camera.
No, but I mean, from like the get-go, you have things like the trash can and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you had seen something like as simple as this, if you had seen like, let's say, something that looks normal, but then a camera turn, like in the security cameras, because they obviously show that the cameras can move.
Yeah.
But like a little turn, and that little twitch throws him off. Like, especially when he was adjusting the radio and all that, if he had seen something like that and then had a car accident.
Right.
Those little quick subtle things that I feel like it wouldn't be a big change to the script, but because of the subtlety and the way that you could ramp up in the editing, like how he's figuring it out or piecing it together.
Yeah.
I feel like those choices are more interesting. I feel like they say a lot more in the story. These ones were just very like, okay, in this scene, he realizes his friend might not be on his side, and then they need to really throw it in your face.
The reason I say they're safe choices is because, and this has very little to do with the fact that it's Jim Carrey. It's because it felt almost like Whoville. You know, it felt almost like a Dr. Seuss thing. If you're not careful, there's a very thin line.
And it's not Jim Carrey. It's not Jim Carrey.
No.
There's a very thin line between this film being a children's film.
Yeah.
There's a very thin line.
Okay, what would be the line? What would
The
be
safety
the crossover?
net. The safety net. The fact that the guy, you know what it is genuinely?
What?
The fact that the guy has beer, the fact that they curse, the fact that there's certain situations like that, that's really all that exists separating this from this to be a family film.
Man.
Because I even kind of like,
The whole Ed Harris playing with this guy's life almost
That's
killing him.
subtext. That's us as adults interpreting this thing, us as filmmakers interpreting this thing.
But it's the reality that's
Why do you
happening.
think this film was so palatable for us as kids? It was easy to understand. It was easy to pick up on these kind of on the nose notes. It's broad. It's a broad film for the masses.
No, I get
You
that.
know,
but I'm just saying, like, it's fine to go with the simple shot instead of doing these Dutch shots that you want, because sometimes it's fine, but sometimes you can overdo it.
Can you bring up Peter Weir?
Like, I'll say this. Do you feel like
On
you
IMDb.
get more enjoyment out of a film that you like understood everything that was happening, or do you get more that on one that
Go
you
down
like
to his
watch the
filmography.
first time and then you know you have to chew on it?
No, yeah, I'm a sucker for the second one.
Look,
I think with this one, you from the get go, I never had to chew on it. I chewed on the idea.
yeah,
and
the
I chewed
concept
on,
is stronger than the picture, for sure.
Back to like, man, because you've seen it so many times. I'm like,
No,
first
I
time
don't
it's
think
the
so.
fucking
No,
badass.
but the concept
But yeah,
is
I don't wanna
stronger
go to
than
that.
the
Yeah,
picture.
I don't want to go to that. Yeah.
No, but
The concept
like,
is stronger than the picture at all costs. It just is. And some films are okay, but I feel like if as an example, if Ari Aster were to take this film and say, I'm gonna, like the Nosferatu thing, like Bob Eggers, and I'm gonna put my spin on the Truman Show, you know. And along with my rating, I wanted to bring this up.
I'm going with the director. It's easy for people to just say that, right?
No. I wanted to bring up why, after screening this film, and while I was screening this film, I brought it up a couple of times over watching it, why I was thinking about Being John Malkovich. Being John Malkovich is saying this.
Oh, bro, but that's a really, really experimental art film.
yeah.
Yeah,
And we have
took
more
more
respect
risks.
for that.
It took more
for the
risks.
whole-
It's
here. John Malkovich isn't for the mass.
exactly. That's what we're
I'm
saying.
with you. That's with you.
That's what we're saying. But it's substantially
But that's
more
why you're
interesting.
hating on it?
It's more interesting.
That's why it gets an 8.4.
No, I'm just saying like
It's more interesting.
No,
it's
I
more
get it,
interesting.
but that's for
it's more challenging for the audience. It's more
sure.
challenging for a filmmaker.
But
you
it's
know,
fine when it's for the whole mass audience and it still hits.
No,
Where
no,
you
but
guys are just like, oh,
if you made a
Ari
film-
Aster would have done this, obviously it would have been a different film.
But if you made a film-
this is the pedestal or the comparison that we're going through.
if you made a film, do you want to feel like you're putting your entire vision and complexities and every little like bit of skill you have as a filmmaker in?
Yeah.
Or would you rather kind of like
settle for the?
You want to do something that everybody gets?
That's so.
And this
How
one,
do you know for him, this was like, yo, this was kind of,
everybody gets it.
Yeah,
My
that's why the
parents
key-
got it.
yeah,
They would be
that's-
like, oh, you should watch this.
That's why the key word here is safe.
Yeah.
Right. The key word here
which
is
is
safe.
fine.
I didn't say it
For this
wasn't.
film.
I've been saying that it is fine. I'm just saying that as again, we're talking about
Oh, yeah.
cinema that stimulates us.
Oh, yeah.
right?
How was that? How was that?
Cinema that stimulates us, right? And
For sure.
And again, your palate matures and you get stimulated. You don't get stimulated by the same thing.
No. I think my palate has matured with you guys, but
It is,
you
it
guys
is.
have kind of gotten a little too.
We've ascended pretentiousness.
I don't know what that word means, but it kind
Now
of
we
fits right now.
are assholes.
Yeah, you
Of
guys
cinema.
are missing the point of just watching it. You guys are like depicting it and comparing it, and comparison
That's what this podcast is about, Castro.
For
Yes.
sure, for sure.
No.
That's what we're doing here. No, hold on.
No, for sure.
There's
That's what I'm
no
contradicting
say.
myself.
Look,
But-
I can't think of a
See it-
cinephile or a filmmaker that's out there shitting on the Truman Show. They aren't, because the concept is it's a strong film. It's a strong concept. Are they saying that it's better than 8.5?
Hey,
no.
Like, no.
I'm looking at 2 right now.
Look at this. Look at this. I'll say this. If he had done the same film, but did not do it with the studio and just went on his
Yeah.
own, made it gritty, made it dark, made it,
We will never know.
Dare I say, unpalatable.
No.
Dare I say, I would have had more.
Even with Jim on it?
Yeah.
Even with
I
Jim?
would have.
Especially with Jim on
I
it.
would have had more. I probably would have rated it much higher.
Yeah.
I would have had more respect for Peter Weir as a filmmaker. And that's, I'm not saying that he doesn't have that respect.
No,
now.
no.
hold
But
on,
look,
hold on.
we've had this
Hold on.
conversation
No,
about
just to finish my point.
safe directors. Safe directors are going to make a ton of money. They're going to work
dude,
with.
that is pissing me off, Austin.
Look. Peter Weir's filmography
Why
is on the screen.
safe?
Peter Film's filmography is on the screen. Tell me which film you recognize that made you.
No. I'm saying, you don't think he took a risk doing a type of Truman Show?
No.
No.
You
No.
think anybody could have
I
done
think the
this?
studio took a risk.
No,
Yeah.
no, you think anybody could have done this?
Yes.
Really?
The way he did it, yes.
Just because they didn't take risks. They didn't
Yes.
have your Dutch angle.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yes.
have your
Yes.
No, bro.
Look,
Dude,
that's
You're looking for another film.
studio
fun.
directors have existed since the inception of cinema, Castro, and they're not.
Look, this is the beginning of reality TV.
Look.
There's no Dutch angles. This is what you get. You have people like Jackass having
Yeah.
video cameras on.
Yeah.
You're gonna get those.
No,
just to have the
but you're talking
authenticity.
about the concept, not the film.
You want a cinematic film with the coffee cup with the camera on it.
Look,
I don't know why.
look, hold on.
I don't know why Bill Cosby came out of it.
you want to put it pop
With the jello.
Look, I struggle with this a lot. One of my favorite directors of all time,
We know, Carlos.
Michael Curtiz.
Okay.
Michael Curtiz.
Bet you didn't know that.
Michael Curtiz directed Casablanca.
Oh yeah.
Michael Curtiz is known for maybe 3 films.
I thought it was
He
Michael
was a
Curtiz.
studio director. He was
Okay,
a
I
studio
love where
director. He
you're going
made
with
5
this.
pictures a year.
I love where you're going with
You know what I'm
this.
saying? He made 5 pictures a year. He made the safe bets. He was no Kubrick. You know, Kubrick was off making Doctor Strangelove while he was making 10
That's
studio
a different
pictures a year.
director. Different vibes, different
That's
genres.
what we're saying.
You're talking. You want a different genre, different vibe from this one.
I do. I would.
No,
I would like to
This is
explore
what you
that.
get, and this is the best shit you're gonna.
I'll give my
You wouldn't
rating
want
really
to see
quick.
anybody else direct this movie?
You wouldn't want to see a David Fincher version of the Truman Show.
because I already saw this, and this is already imprinted in my head. 2 hours of this.
Okay.
I
Why
think-
would I want to change things that this is
I
what I
think-
saw as a kid? And
I'm gonna say this. Breaking news on the
Okay.
WatchTower Film Pod. I think that you, Castro, as a film viewer, I completely agree 110%. And anybody that watches our show knows this. That your palate as a cinephile has grown substantially.
yeah, it has.
You know cinema. You know cinema, but you allow nostalgia and sentimental value to dictate your rating.
Because that's part of cinema.
Oh
Oh my God! Please comment. Please comment.
it's It's part of the viewing experience
Nostalgia
as
is
you
why we come back
age.
to watch it.
As you
No,
age.
why did you watch it the first time? Nostalgia. You've never seen it before.
No, but you come back to watch it. That's why I come back to watch
It's
it.
revisiting a film and rewatchability. Those are all topics that we talk about here.
That's the mentality that gets us Ghostbusters 15, okay?
Yes! Yes!
And that's what you're fighting for.
No.
That's what you're fighting for.
It's a really good.
It's just
talking to
you get a fresh take
Men are talking.
by filmmakers who want to explore and break the mold and not use the safe studio choices that we've been using for 60 years in cinema.
For sure.
Why wasn't this an Oscar pick?
It was.
What was?
It was not.
Why was
oh
this
no!
not-
Wait! The law's got a point here. This film won Golden Globes for Jim Carrey. Only got nominated for Best Director, right? And Best Actor in a Supporting Role.
Yeah, I was gonna say best actor for sure.
No, Jim Carrey did not get an Oscar nomination for this film.
Ed Harris was a supporting role.
Yeah. The what? And writing. This didn't
writing's
even get a
strong.
Best Picture nomination.
Well, wait, that's all politics. I don't care
Not
about
then.
that. Huh?
Not then. Who won that year? Who was nominated that year?
Yeah, dude, we all know
Because then there was less politics than there is now.
I want to see.
For the writing, like this, the story and the concept, it's so.
But the reason there was 17 drafts was because they studio-fied this motherfucker's script.
But he still. It doesn't. You're saying it like, oh, since I went through 17, it's not good.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's not.
It's not.
Obviously,
it's
yeah,
that-
you don't want it to go through all that.
It's because every time that he turned in the script, the
Yeah.
studio said,
For sure,
I don't
and
think
you're
people are
saying
going
that
to
it's
get
a
it.
studio
Too rough.
script.
People
Yeah,
aren't
For
going to get
sure,
it. Not palatable.
and it's a studio script. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying. It came out the 17th
Yeah.
page, the 17th
Oh
version.
gosh, poor bastard. Yeah, Shakespeare in Love, man. Go down.
Get the fuck out of here!
I'm sorry, the camera's blocking my view. Can you scroll down?
What is this?
No, I can't.
If you can keep scrolling.
Yeah, go up. Saving Private Ryan. Oh fuck. No, I don't want Best Picture.
No, but the thing is that even
What do
like
you
he was
want?
saying,
Oh, actor.
Actor.
even like he was saying, they were trying to make this like it was too dark before.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they're even
You're mad because they didn't let him do his thing and he just did a
but
studio.
even bringing up the concept of it being too dark means that you're not trying to make a film that has the initial vision in mind. You know,
Have you guys ever seen
I kind of like where you were going with that, but I still had something to say that.
what's the film? Robert De Niro
being John Wankovich.
and
Definitely watch that.
and Nick Nolte, studio picture.
Nick Nolte, who?
De Niro.
Score.
He plays
Heat?
the bad
No.
guy. De Niro plays the bad guy. It's a remake. Spielberg produced it. Scorsese directed it.
Damn.
The Thin Red Line.
I forget the name of the film, but it's a studio picture. It's a remake of a 1950s film, and it's a studio picture. But they allowed
Yeah, right away you're-
they allowed Scorsese to do his thing.
Uh-huh.
You know, and this was when Scorsese was in movie jail. Okay,
Wait.
this was when he was in movie jail.
Wait,
They
eso es lo
wouldn't.
que
They,
estás haciendo.
they maybe shouldn't have allowed him to do his thing.
Right.
But it still was a way better picture. It
Just
wasn't
'cause-
studio-fied.
Yeah.
No, because you're gonna give an auteur. You're not gonna go tell Spielberg, "Hey, dude, we need you to do it this way."
Well, that's perfect.
You know?
How many films did this guy do?
Not any good.
Exactly.
No, he
so
did-
you work with
he
what he
did
did.
Dead
That's
Poets
something that I really do appreciate.
No, but and it's kind of an art, right? It's interesting because Dead Poet Society,
It's-
studio picture, very palatable, kind of family friendly, but still a pretty good film. One can make the argument, though. He had Robin Williams on that. He had Ethan
that's
Hawke
right.
on that.
That's right.
He had a cast, bro.
Yeah, just
he
Robin
had
Williams
a
alone, yeah.
cast.
Ethan Hawke was in Dead Poet.
He was the kid that
He
killed
was,
himself, didn't he? Or one of the kids.
Really?
Yeah. That whole cast in Dead Poet Society, like he would look up the cast really quick. There's like a number of kid actors that become.
So what are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is that can the argument be made that this director depends heavily on his cast to carry his picture?
No, nah, dude, come on, dude. That's heavy. That's shitting on the director.
What else has he done that you've been stimulated by
All I know is he did something. What you said? Like,
in this film?
the what?
And he did something for you in this film that stimulates you still.
There's a difference.
The way some of the scenes were shot. I mean,
Yeah, Ethan Hawke is in this.
I'm trying to remember
Norman
the one
Lloyd's in this. Yeah, he had a cast.
I just think that there's a
like the one where he's talking about, if everybody's in on it, I would be on it. That's a safe one. I get it. It's not nothing crazy.
But that's like in the edit.
Yeah.
The music, the cuts, it's all meant to
So what
really...
did the director say? Just sit there.
I
No,
think
it's just
in
like
very
it's the
gospel
very
fashion.
clearest way.
Yeah.
It's the clearest way to communicate
Yeah.
the idea that like, oh, so now you can't even trust your friend because he's really leaning into that.
Yeah, in very Castro fashion, though, to piggyback off of that. No, in the very Castro phrasing, I think maybe half of it is the studio's fault. The other half is it gets lost in the proverbial sauce of meta. I think if you're gonna like, for instance, I didn't like that actor particularly, the guy that plays a friend. I didn't like the wife either. I loved Ed Harris. I love Jim Carrey. But maybe that was the intention. I'm going to get
The
these
wife for
actors
sure.
that nobody
Yeah,
knows that are going to feel like these offbeat TV characters, you know, and then it gets too lost in the sauce.
I see where you're going
You know
with
what I'm
it.
saying? You didn't have to get a name actor, but maybe you get a good actor to play the friend, to play the wife, to play the
Good enough. That's why. That's why I'm like, yo, you don't want to overshadow.
You
Jim
can't
Carrey.
overshadow Jim Carrey.
No, but
nobody
because
can
he's
overshadow
literally
Jim
the
Carrey.
main star, literally on this one.
I mean, but
So
I feel like if you would have gotten like a good character actor, like Tim, the Coen Brothers guy, Buster Scruggs.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about,
Tim something.
No, I think this.
If you would have gotten the good character actor, a good character actor to play the friend.
I think this one was perfect because it's literally the protagonist, the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the big. I wouldn't say personalities, but the big, characters in the.
You don't feel like it gets lost in the sauce? If it gets lost in the meta sauce, it gets lost in the. Let me put it to you this way. This may have been an interesting concept. Peter Weir, what he wanted to do initially was he wanted there to be a point in the exhibition of this film, exhibiting this film in theaters, that he wanted to put hidden cameras in the theaters
With the thing in the back and.
where the film would cut off at one point and then turn on the hidden cameras to show the audience.
Yeah.
What a great gimmick, right? Gimmick. I mean, it would have been interesting. It would have been something that nobody's ever done before. To
promotion-wise,
it would have been interesting. But again, how far will you go in this metaverse? The other meta thing he wanted to do is he wanted to play the Ed Helms character, the Ed Harris character. He wanted to play the director.
No.
Just to allow it to be more meta. I think some of these things maybe get lost. Look, this happens to every director. It happens to every director that you commit to something and you say, no, this is what it needs to be because this is the intention. And sometimes it can get lost in your intention. It doesn't communicate across the board. And if it does communicate, it falls flat.
So what do you think?
I think everything except Jim Carrey and Ed Harris as characters falls flat. His strategic efforts as a director
of having empathy
of
for
the
this
set building, of the lighting, of the camera choices.
Because I don't know what you want.
I want more intention. I want more.
But that's the whole point of reality TV. That you can't have intention because you're just letting.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
No,
but we're not watching TV.
Let me jump into the cinematography real quick. One of my kind of gripes with the cinematography, I think the film is shot fine.
Yeah.
It
passes. It passes.
Yeah, it passes. It passes. But like, if you see a lot of like the oh my god, it becomes a gimmick really quick. The dome shots, right?
Oh, yes.
And
Dear God.
And what you are.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. When you guys get away from loving films and you guys start becoming these weird fucking.
No.
Dude, the dome shots are too much, man.
No, because we
It's
get
just
it.
showing you where it's at.
We get
Which
it.
show have you seen that uses? Look.
We get it.
Yeah, we get it.
It just showed you
You
one
could have
time.
done it a couple
It's not like it showed
times.
you
No,
every
you
time.
didn't.
It does.
Every
No,
other
it
shot is a
does.
dome shot.
Yes.
Every other
Hold
shot is
on.
a fucking vignette on it.
On the top or inside?
On the around the rim of the lens. These dome shots, and then you have a vignette on every other
The
fucking shot.
GoPro camera shot.
Yes.
The secret camera shot, wide angle lens.
Why do you guys hate that?
Because after I see it 50 times, I've
get
seen
it.
it enough.
But it's a fucking. It's an action camera.
No. Hold on. If he
it's
was using it, for
focusing-
instance, I tried to decipher this. Maybe you caught something I didn't.
What the fuck?
I couldn't figure out other than the fact that they would use this in TV a lot because of the aspect ratio once upon a time, I couldn't figure out when and where he was using vignette shots. They felt super random.
Yeah, that was kind of random.
And what I was keeping track of, because what I thought the intentionality was with those shots is that whenever you see a vignette, it's
him coming to light and something.
No,
the vignette is
almost like
the show.
No, I think it's the dad watching his creation.
Wait. That's why I'm saying it's a theory. When I was watching, I was like, maybe he's adding
It's
the
what the
vignette
audience
shots.
is seeing.
Yeah, so that's why
his theory, though.
No,
It's
that's why
theory.
I was like, when you. And I'm not even saying it's right. I'm just saying that.
That's
first,
what you thought it was.
That's what I was hoping it was.
I couldn't figure it out either.
But it was on first.
No, that's what I was hoping it was, because at least there, then there's this interesting double story. One is that when we get these clean camera angle shots, that's lens choice and everything is by the DP. Then we're getting Truman's perspective, the world's falling apart perspective. But when we get these dome shots, then we're just getting like, oh no, this is the world feeding you more of the story. Like sometimes they would cut back to characters that weren't Truman, and we'd get the dome shot, and you would think like, oh, like that's the show being filmed. And I was hoping it was that, especially because I would get a lot of dome shots around the time the father came back into the show. But then you get dome shots for
you got
every
the
other
dome
single
shots
fucking
with
thing.
like even in POVs. There was like a POV shot within a dome shot when it was Truman's perspective on another character.
Yeah, and the whole thing is just that like we need this 24/7 reminder that this is what the audience is seeing. Oh, this is what's going on. This is everything. And like I feel like, okay, those shots are great. Yes, we're playing into the idea that there's about 5,000 cameras on this island.
Right.
But after a while, I want to see the DP go out and actually film things.
Maybe if there was a change.
You think Keeping Up with the Kardashians have a DP?
No, but that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing.
They don't.
Yes, they do.
They do, but it's not the kind of DP we respect. No. I think if there would have been a shift in the cinematography at the end of the second act.
Such intention.
At the end, if there was a shift at the end of the second act.
What was the end of the second act?
Have a bunch of clean shots and then go into like when we filmed Truman, not this little stupid window cam.
Now we get
cinematic. Where we at? My bad.
When he's really leaning into this thing of fighting
when he's walking in traffic.
Yeah, when he's walking in traffic.
Oh, when he's...
Yeah.
Okay.
If from there we shift from the TV cameras to real shots, to shots of Truman in maybe even a different aspect ratio, maybe even a wider aspect ratio.
No. Throw it on a 50. Give us his perspective, and then go behind Truman and start looking at objects. Like he knows that people are watching him, or he knows that people are fake.
Even like you're on a 50,
but then that's already,
and then you start seeing his perspective, and it's no longer a dome. No, it's no longer a dome, and it's a whip pan of him seeing the car, and that car is following that car, and that car's getting a direction like that.
Yeah. Because these wide shots that are still very clean, then cutting back to the dome shots to remind us that he's still being recorded.
Like we get it. We know it's a TV show.
Cut back to wide shot again so we can see the whole action.
It would help the arc. It would help his character. It would help us show change in his character.
You know what? I'll say this.
Yeah.
The reason I'm also feeling this way, me and Carlos, when we've at least worked together for like filming stuff, we talk about the idea of coverage and the idea of like, you need to have a conversation when you're making a movie about like what is the action and what do we need that's essential, meaning like give us our establisher, because we need to see the whole action play out.
Coverage is implied.
Like we need to see the whole action play out. So what do we need to get us there? So sometimes it's like, oh, if there's a fight scene, well, we need a wide angle lens. If it's going to cover this whole area, then you work with your op on like how is it going to cover everything. All I'm getting to is that this film felt like we're going to just rely on it being coverage. Let's get all of our shots that are going to cover everything.
How do you film reality TV?
That's the thing, though. We're not
coverage.
We're not shooting a TV show.
Yeah.
This is a film.
We're not watching the Truman TV show. We're watching Truman.
It's a film about watching a TV show.
You use the first act to establish your world.
Right.
Use dome shots. Have fun, my friend. Use many dome shots for the first act.
Great, but then after a while, we get it.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing anything.
I will lean into that a little bit when it comes to like when we've worked together. You know, obviously his hero's Deakins and my hero's Scorsese. And Deakins, what he'll do is there's a great 30-second clip of him saying like, you have the over the shoulder right here, and it's probably shooting me here up to this and that. And he's like, what I would do is this, and then you see his version of it. He's like, I put the camera directly in front of the subject, and this is what I would want to see. And you know, you see Deakins really making the camera part of the process, really making it part of the intentionality of the shot.
Yeah,
Scorsese knows that he uses 2 cameras always for everything. 2 cameras, always 2 cameras running at the same time.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
If that's a conversation, boom, you have your 2 shots. Whatever. He knows to use 2 cameras. Once you find out what your version of coverage means, coverage is implied. Now you can get into the intentionality of a shot.
Yeah.
And I think if Peter Weir was like, okay, I know I need to do the dome shots. I know I need to bring people into this world on both sides, on both the Truman side and then the audience side. Then I can get into, hey, remember, guys, you're in a film. You're watching a film. So let's get cinematic. How can we show Truman's growth through camera angles? How can we show Truman's growth through camera positionings, through camera movement? How can we show Truman's growth through lighting changes?
Are you sure that was his intention, or just the intention of showing us?
I think it was the studio's intention. Again, safe bets, safe shots.
Yeah, because those shots,
I get it.
The wide angles, the clean lines, the sharp focus, all that does is that it makes sure that when the audience is viewing it, nothing is kind of up for debate. You have a clear perspective on Truman and what's going on. The dialogue reflects that. The peppiness reflects that.
Yeah.
But the films that I think that we will give more reverence to are the ones that are doing shots that don't always make sense. There's something that you have to really sit and chew on. I'll say this. There are those shots in this film.
Yeah.
For example, the shot of him walking through a crowd of people. They're on an 85 mil and you see people crossing in frame and out of frame, but you isolate Truman, and those shots are really good because they communicate so much in a very, very subtle way.
The legendary ending.
Yeah.
Once you see him in the boat and the boat's rocking and his world is shifting and it's very intense.
Yeah.
You know, once you see him, the complete wide with the stairs. That's cinematic. Yeah. That's where you don't wait till the end to do that shit, man.
Those shots show that they obviously have a lot of vision. They can have a lot of intentionality.
Even the girl running down the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, trying to throw her jacket on when she's running down the stairs, and we see movement and we see. I mean, that's the stuff we were missing. You know?
We didn't have that 100% of the time. We had that when they felt like we had that when the studio felt like, okay, we can get it.
Yeah, it feels like maybe Peter Weir was like, let's sneak him in here. Let's sneak him in here. They won't care here. Like,
yeah. So I feel like that's kind of what's up.
No, I was just saying. So finish your thoughts so we can move on to the next reading.
I was already kind of talking about my rating. Like,
I'm sorry.
I just didn't say it yet. I haven't said it. And then,
what's your rating?
I'm at about there. I'll probably give this a film like a 7.9.
God,
I'm at a 7.9. I was thinking about giving it an 8 for a while, and then you see similar films of this, or like I said, you see Being John Malkovich for the first time, or any time after that, and you see the risks it's taking to communicate a similar notion.
Look, what I'm trying to get around to is, I understand what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the film the way I watched it the first time, right?
Yeah.
You guys are dissecting, like, all right, maybe when he's walking through the traffic, maybe there could be more intentionality with the shots instead of just the wide shot and the dome shot. I'm trying to live with or understand.
I think if we're, and I think I know where you're going. If your palette in cinema is a textbook, if your palette in cinema is a textbook, right?
Right.
And then we've had this conversation before. If we're teaching a class in cinema, you show the Truman Show at the top of the semester. Mm-hmm. You don't show it at the bottom of the semester.
Yeah.
The Truman Show is chapter 1, maybe chapter 2.
The way he subtly kind of...
No, this isn't a bad thing.
Start off with the
like I
worst
said,
one,
I don't think there's a filmmaker.
I'm fucking about, but
I don't think there's a film. There's guys like Tarantino that defends films like this, like to death. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. These films do have a great utility and contribution to cinema, but there's still studio pictures in the end that take the safe route.
I'm trying to live with that where I'm trying to like be fine with you guys seeing they could have done better. Where it's just, I'm trying to understand, and I get, we're filmmakers. I do the same shit with actors, and I'll be like, wow, why did he do that sort of thing where he could have just done?
I think it's because we're also not rating it on like a 0 to 100. You know,
You guys know who Penny Marshall is? Penny Marshall.
Yeah,
She's a
I
great
forgot
director.
Sarah Marshall, though.
No, Penny Marshall directed like A League of Their Own.
Oh, I thought it was it.
She.
Pennywise, my bad.
The fuck are you gonna confuse Pennywise with Penny Marshall?
Man.
Penny
Give me 5
Marshall
minutes.
directed a lot of great rom-coms, studio pictures. She directed A League of Their Own. She wrote.
Oh, I love
you
League
know,
of Their Own.
or Nancy Myers. Nancy Myers wrote one of my favorite films of all time. We were just talking about this when Harry Met Sally, directed by Rob Reiner. But she wrote a lot of scripts like that. They a lot of these like Jack Nicholson and a lot of these rom-coms that Jack Nicholson was doing in the early 2000s.
Schmidt
This
and
was
whatever.
the Penny Marshall, Nancy Myers kind of era.
Yeah.
They had great voices. A League of Their Own's a great film, but it's a studio film. It's not Tom Hanks doing fucking, Captain Phillips. It's not Tom Hanks doing, you know what I'm saying?
No.
What do you mean, no?
There's no crying in baseball. You don't think that the
It's
studio
not
thing?
Tom Hanks doing like that thing
Him
you do.
peeing in front of everybody? That's a studio
You're
thing?
going to compare, let me ask you this. Do you see a vast difference between A League of Their Own and Castaway?
Two very different.
Why?
Because one's of them was alone in an island.
It
and another
can't
one-
just be it can't just be the subject of the
Yeah.
film.
What are you talking about?
In terms of them being, in terms of however you scale cinema, is A League of Their Own more cinema than Castaway?
Dude. Y'all gonna
It's
hate on
hard
me.
to put Tom Hanks in that category too, because Tom Hanks is very safe. He just is. He's Tom Hanks. He's America's sweetheart.
Save or awesome? 'Cause it's the same thing.
Look,
Hey, he's an awesome guy, so I'm gonna put him on film.
Bob Zemeckis, who directed Castaway, Bob Zemeckis ended up taking risks later. Flight. You take risks with Flight. You did Back to the Future and Castaway and studio pictures, right? That are considered cinema in their own right.
Is Back to the Future studio?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Still
Wait.
cinema.
No.
But
my
again,
bad.
it's chapter
My
1,
bad.
2.
I know that you hate
Chapter 1, 2, and
no,
3
it's
of
just
our class, right? It's chapter 1, 2, and 3 of our class. But maybe Bob, if you have a conversation of Bob Zemeckis, you're going to talk more about what he's doing now, the risks he's taking now. He just did a film with one camera angle for the entire picture, called Here. Is it Here?
Here.
Or what is it called? Here. I mean, come on, those are risks.
No,
those are fucking risks.
I get where you guys are coming from. I'm just kind of like mad that you can't just see it for what it is. Instead of, I know this is a comparison, a debate.
Oh, wait, let me add one more thing. We've had this conversation before of like, could this have been done in any other form or medium, right? Mm-hmm. And, the whole point of like film is that films are meant to be that it cannot be presented in any other medium.
Yeah.
With this story, let me just say the story. If you put Truman Show in a book, the exact way it was written by Jim Carrey and all that kind of stuff, right now, they both have the same punch. Like right now, I'd even probably say that the book you'd get a little bit more in Truman's mind, and you'd probably have more perspective.
I don't think we're that far away from a Truman Show series, Cassidy. I don't think.
Oh, no.
I think it's going to happen in
I
our
wouldn't wanna
lifetime.
see that.
It's going to happen in our lifetime.
Well, Jim Carrey better do it.
No, but something like that. I feel like this one, because of the way it's shot and because of the way it's done, it doesn't to me take enough risk.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Wait, it doesn't need to, but I get it.
No, but it also doesn't take enough liberties of like you're making a film. You could do more. You could do more with angles. You could do more with
Cassidy,
intentionality.
what's something? Let me ask you this. Just in terms, in the spirit of taking risks, because we have to figure out what value we place on that
We
statement.
also got to get Austin's rating.
We
I
do.
know,
We do.
Austin, my bad,
This is
dude,
the
my
last thing
bad.
I'll say before we go there.
fighting for
the last
this,
thing
bro.
I'll say before we go. Well, okay, no. Let's go there first. What's
What's your rating, man? Before
Truman Show rating? Cut to your camera.
True rating.
Click, I did.
Wow.
You better fucking cut to your
better
camera.
do, bro.
No, I'm not.
Bro,
What?
We want to see you.
you want to see who's talking?
I'm still trying to debate if I want to, because you guys said you put the
Dude,
biggest
you have
camera
a
on the biggest guy.
badass
So
fucking background.
I
lighting.
know,
background.
Dick. You're
Everything.
depriving the audience of seeing the new part of the set.
It looks nice.
what new part? This has been part of the part.
Not like this.
No, your setup is dope, dude.
Why are you guys
Also, I
yelling?
bought a lamp just so we could.
You said you had one. I told you not to buy one.
I'm jelly
Well, I
sandwich.
bought
on
Cut
one.
to your fucking camera and tell us your
It's
rating.
been cut, bitch.
Okay, what's your rating?
Bro,
Just felt like Jack Nicholson in The Departed.
yeah, dude, did, bro.
He felt funny.
He felt funny.
What was the line?
What was the line?
This is in
This is in reality TV.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but there's another one. They're like driving in the car.
Because in this country, It don't add
No,
inches
no,
to
he
your
says
dick.
like cut, get the towel off, or like when he's trying to get the towel out of the car's off or something. The music cuts off right when he says it.
Well,
Anyways.
remind me of the one that I said. But go for it,
Ratings.
bro.
Stop. Let the
No,
man
bro.
talk.
Hey, any other movie? Jim Carrey, bro. Come on.
I love that sentence.
I got you, guys.
8.1.
8.1.
Okay, so it's
It's all right. It's a B.
8.4.
It's not a C like this guy.
8.4.
It's a B
8.1.
minus.
Yeah.
It's not a C.
Well, he's a
C+?
C plus.
It's a C plus. Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
is that
C's
get
get
degrees,
degrees.
son? C's make movies, son.
What did you?
It's a fun concept.
Yeah, it's
Don't say
fun.
fun, bro.
It was a fun concept.
Fun is not a bad word.
Okay. I'll flirt with that. Fun, but what
It just didn't do anything.
what
for
they
me.
said, the camera angles just
Well,
didn't
not
take
just
risks.
that, but just it didn't take
How-
many risks. It didn't.
How'd you
it
feel about the
didn't-
pacing?
It didn't set a new bar for cinema.
Yeah.
Did it do anything on the editing either? I mean, dude, this sits
Not
at an hour
really.
43. A very
It-
hour 43.
Yeah.
A very cinematic hour
Yeah.
43.
You know what? Everybody. So not anything has to be cinema. Has to be.
Dude.
Like, I'll just say this. In the runtime alone, they probably even timed it where it's perfect that it finishes right at the end of the popcorn bucket. Like, I mean, it's just meant to, like, work, you know?
It's a what? This is a 90.
They did trials.
103
103-minute film.
Oh, man.
Okay, let me ask you this, Castro, because
After finishing this, did you say, I wonder what else is on TV?
hold on, because I know you, Jim Carrey.
Hold on. Did it leave you with an impression once you left the theater? Like, oh man, could this be true? Could this happen?
It is true,
I wasn't born yet.
You know the government's watching us through our phones all the time, right?
Okay, did it have that type of impact on you?
No.
No. Let me ask you this, Castro.
Damn, son.
I'm sucking it.
Damn.
Do you feel damn? Do you feel like there's a difference between, and this is Jim Carrey we're talking about, right?
I'm talking about
I know
the film
you.
did to me.
I know you. Tell me where in recommendations, right?
Okay.
To another cinephile, a cinephile you respect.
Okay.
You know? Tell me where on your list of recommendations does this sit versus Man on the Moon?
Man with a movie camera.
Versus versus Man on the Moon versus Number 23 versus what's that other one? The other versus Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Where does it
sit on your recommendation list? Will you recommend Truman Show over all those other Jim Carrey films? Jim Carrey dramatic films?
I definitely wouldn't recommend. Yeah, 23 wouldn't recommend. I'll put it on top of 23. Eternal Sunshine are probably there. What's the other one?
Well, like Man on the Moon. Like I would put Eternal Sunshine, then Man on the Moon, then Truman Show.
See, I think it's
Then
just how
Grinch.
I just think that's how it hit you. I think to me, I love Man on the
Yeah.
Moon. I think Truman Show did just a bigger, more impact in my life.
Okay.
It didn't have to have all this
No, I
stuff.
mean, like, look.
Now
For
that
me,
now
like
that I'm a cinephile-
Eternal Sunshine, right? Eternal Sunshine for me explores something similar in vein,
And
right?
it's it's
Not similar in the sense of what's fabricated and what's not. It's what's fabricated in your mind. How do you remember a memory? Which memory do you want to keep? How do we play with that? Something surreal. This is surreal.
Ooh, I'm about
How
to
do
say
you
something you
play with
probably
that,
like.
right? I would recommend Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind as a film.
But as an adult, I know you're gonna be like, "Fuck yeah, I got you." I get it because it's more palatable as a kid. This one, right? Or for everybody, this one. Whereas Eternal Sunshine, it's not for kid.
Can you be a cinephile as a kid? No, I think you're a cinephile when you're a fully developed human being, right? At least
sure.
like fully developed by science standards. As a man at 26, your brain is fully developed. So, I don't think you can be a cinephile as a kid as well as you can, because you will have to relive films when you've experienced a little bit of life. So
Also say that like
kind of unfair.
Yeah, no, and then
Right.
plus as you get older, you see more films, you have a better comparison. Because
Yeah.
if you stay in a box the whole time and then watch like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a okay-ish film.
I'm trying to think. Look, everybody makes this argument, and I've had this argument with my brother lately.
Brother Bear.
Brother Bear. No. Shawshank Redemption, right? Growing up, we thought that was the epitome of cinema. Shawshank, right? Oh my gosh.
But taking
Frank
account that we didn't know.
Darabont and Stephen King and this great story and this, Andy Dufresne and what he goes to. Oh my gosh, we think this is cinema, And it's not that it's not a great film. It's a great film.
He's hating on
Remember watching Secret Life of Walter Mitty for the first time in the theaters and thinking you discovered life?
Yeah.
And then you return to it when you're like
25 or whatever.
yeah, like, you know, early 30s with your buddies.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Bro, you're going to get a lot of people mad with what you're about
That's
to say.
fine. Look, Shawshank, why has nobody fought to cover Shawshank on this podcast?
That is the perfect.
Because it's chapter 1 and 2 of cinema. It's
never
chapter. You've never seen Shawshank Redemption? It's good.
It's a prerequisite.
It's what?
It's a prerequisite.
It's a prerequisite. It's
God.
pre-semester reading.
oh, dude, that's this one.
That's this one.
That's this
It's
one.
pre-semester reading, right?
Dude.
It's good.
It's like that. You know, we just covered Full Metal Jacket. It's like the guy who's like, all right, you pansies want to be in the Marines? You guys have to do this and that. Like you want to be a cinephile? Watch all these.
Hold on, let's back it up a little bit.
You know,
So,
first.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah,
You don't like it.
I like it.
But
I'll leave it on. It's on TV. I'll check it out. You know,
But
it's entry level cinema.
how can you say that to something that it's one of those events for Christopher Nolan?
Yeah.
Where it's literally it's on TV.
Christopher Nolan likes Fast and the Furious. That's not a good argument.
Christopher Nolan, whatever he likes must be fucking awesome.
No.
Okay, we're getting off subject. But how do you, like, even you admit it?
Yeah.
If it's on TV, I'll put the controller down.
But okay, that's a great example. Great example. If I'm watching, if Shawshank Redemption is playing on fucking AMC, right? Cool, Shawshank Redemption. But if Goodfellas is playing on Channel 40, I'm gonna go watch Goodfellas. That's the difference.
Hold on, for the viewers at home, what's Channel 40?
Okay, Channel 40 is TNT. It's usually anything
that was back in the day, cable.
Yeah, that's what I have is back in the day cable. If I'm gonna watch AMC, I don't even know what AMC is. 44, I think.
49 or something. 48, 48.
So
I
if I'm
think
gonna
20
watch,
was Animal Planet.
you fucking nerd.
That's where, like, I
You were watching the animals
Wait,
humping,
what's
weren't
National
you?
Geographic? What's National Geographic?
I couldn't afford it.
No, but that's my point. If me, and this is the beautiful thing about cinema is it's very subjective. If
poor soul.
Shawshank Redemption is on one channel and Goodfellas is on another channel, I'm going to watch Goodfellas.
I'm going to watch Shawshank.
You're gonna watch Shawshank.
Because I just watched Goodfellas yesterday.
No, it can't be this. But my aunt was living over there, and
but
now
that's
she's living over
literally-
here.
But that's what I'm coming at.
You know
It's
what's
like,
the
how can you
difference
not say
between-
something that's cinematic when you're watching
No,
it
you know what's the
and you
difference
love it?
between- The difference between chapter 1 and chapter 12 in the semester is that I can watch chapter 1 with my family. I can't watch chapter 12. They won't
That's
get
part of it.
Good.
That's part of it.
That's really good. Understanding, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
them.
They'll
But
understanding.
get
again,
this and they'll love
I'm
this.
not getting something new out of Shawshank every
you don't
time.
have to.
Yes, you do. Oh my gosh, yes, you do. You
Every time
have
you
to
watch it?
You have to look. Okay,
So
there's
the
different.
first time you watch it,
there's
you're gonna get
different
something.
types of cinema, and that's the point. Every time I watch Goodfellas, I get something different out of it. Every fucking time. Every time I watch Shawshank, I know what I'm getting out of it.
I probably think the same thing because I've watched it so many times. The first couple of 20, 30 times, I probably watched something new. But then after so many times, it's Shawshank Redemption.
I've seen
This is
Goodfellas
maybe-
as many times as I've seen Shawshank Redemption.
But you like Martin Scorsese, like it's
Fine,
It's
even if
unhealthy.
it's not, even if it's Eternal Sunshine. Eternal Sunshine. If I watch Eternal Sunshine versus Shawshank Redemption,
Or this.
I get. Yeah, it's fine. Jim Carrey's, right? If I watch Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, forgive me, but I don't even remember who the fucking director is. Has nothing to do
It
with.
doesn't even see. That's what I'm talking about. You guys care about the director.
No,
It's about
that's my
the
point.
visual on the
That's my
box.
point.
Who cares about the
If
director?
the Truman Show is on one channel, if Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind is on another channel, I don't remember who the fucking director of Eternal Sunshine is.
I mean, exactly. Exactly.
I think, but that's my point. I get something more out of Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind every time I watch it.
Real quick, I just want to say that if you haven't tried this Pure Leaf tea,
Please sponsor us.
this
Zoom in
is
on
probably the best tea and the real brewed tea.
It could be drank lukewarm.
And also,
cold.
fuck you, Jason. I drink it.
I'm gonna send him that.
Wow.
Anyways,
When you said
Okay,
that-
how about this?
I think as you mature as a cinephile, you
gonna
want
do
to
one more.
watch cinema that every single time you watch it, you get something fresh out of it.
That's
Tell me
rare.
that. Tell me that.
That's
No,
rare.
it's not. Cinema like that exists.
You're telling me you've seen a film that you've seen 50 times and you still get something new out of it.
Absolutely.
As my grandfather used to say, your mama's rare, okay? Like,
Look, tell me that. How many times have you seen 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Ooh, a lot.
10. Call it 10, right?
No, a little bit more. Like maybe 20.
Like maybe 20. You don't get something fresh out of 2001: A Space Odyssey every time.
That's good. Yeah, I do.
There's those films there, and maybe it's not the vast majority of it, but when you're watching something like, for me, when I'm watching In the Mood for Love, when I'm watching Good Will Hunting, when I'm watching Hugo, when I'm watching my favorite films,
have a point there.
I get something fresh out of it.
You have a very
I've seen
small, tiny point right there.
Hugo, I've seen since I was a kid. I've loved that film since I was a kid. I'm almost 30 now. I see something different in Hugo every time.
That's...
Every single time.
I think you should be very careful.
Yeah, dude, I think there's a hotline for that.
You fucking idiots. No. But come on. It's,
You still play with
I always knew you were a type of file.
You still play with Afterfish?
Hey, in my defense, I'm not even going to try to. My point is, I think that's the difference. I think that's the line. I think that's the line you cross in cinema. When you cross the line of, I get something new out of this picture every time I see it. And again, dude, like for instance, lately, we're talking about the films you just saw. I just saw Nora. I haven't seen it a second time. I'm fucking dying to see it a second time. See, and I can appreciate, I respect that you go into it like, what was my first time screening this? Like, what was that like? What did it do for me the first time I ever saw it? And maybe even trying to recapture some of that magic the more times you see it, right?
I do, yeah.
That's fair. That's very admirable, actually. It's very pure. But I'm not trying to go back to Honora to experience exactly what I experienced 2 weeks ago. I want to go into it to see if I experienced something brand new. Am I finding something new in this? Is there something that I didn't catch in the first screening? Like, one of the things we caught in Truman Show was like, oh, his fucking name is Truman Burbank.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that before.
No,
As a kid, yeah.
Studio City Burbank.
I also caught like the branding on things. Yeah. Like, I think all the like the grocery store is called Goodies, and then the bus is called Sit. Like very like
studio fabricated.
Yeah, like
TV show.
Yeah, or the whole notion that everything is just plain Jane. Like it's never meant to inspire other ideas. It's meant to always be like. Yeah. What you see is what you get. At least to Truman.
It's very like when you buy when you were a kid and I had a sister. Okay, so I don't care if you guys make fun of me. And they get your sister like those grocery toys.
Oh, weird.
They come with the cart or whatever, and they have like the milk and the oranges. And you guys get pussy. Got it. No, but like they have very generic, the fake groceries. That they have the fake name.
Yeah. Milk is called milk. Apple has a stamp that says apple.
Yeah. But even more so, the street signs were named after actors. Barrymore Street, fucking Cary Grant Street, whatever. You could go back and see these. The name of the characters. The name of the characters. The girl the love interest that went away or whatever. Her name was Garland.
Garland, yeah.
Her name was Lauren Garland. Lauren Bacall, Judy Garland.
See, that's beautiful, bro. What are you hating on it then?
All the other actors had fucking actor names. Like, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying those are things I caught that I didn't catch on a first screening.
But then after that...
I was trying to help you guys. That's just what...
No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Again, I think you cross the threshold of cinema where you're like, at least me, I want to explore cinema and hopefully, as a filmmaker, also make something timeless. Truman Show's timeless. It's timeless. As a cinephile or as a filmmaker, am I going to take Truman Show and be like,
I'm not in, Yeah. I think like if we had watched this one on like the first episode of WatchTower, I think we would have been, like had a lot more to say.
A little more inclined to call it cinema.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of other like frames of reference and stuff like that. But like with now that there's like a huge like library of things that we can like select through, we can say
we're
like
on episode 100 what?
That's true. What is
115 or something like that?
But like at this point, it's like there's moments that I think to me, I feel like I remember this movie having a similar beat. And they did this, and it was really good, and that's why I can why I can even add in comments of being like, oh man, for that shot, if they had gone from this shot to that shot, that would have been great. But I'm not coming up with that out of nowhere. I've seen other films that have had beats or moments that I wish that they had incorporated, and I think with this one, it's seeing that like there's a lot of like opportunities where kind of like even like when you look at like students, and you probably see this a lot of times with like actors too. Sometimes somebody will act out a scene. You're like, okay, yeah, you said what the character needed to say, but oh man, that's a great opportunity to have like a smirk, or a great opportunity for like your eyebrow to quiver a little bit, because
that's a beautiful way to put it too, from a DP to an actor. Yes, I understand that.
So I think with this one, as I was watching it, I just felt a lot of those moments. I felt a lot of moments where like, oh, that's great. But exactly the way Carrie's doing it, there's a million different ways to film it, and I'm like, oh, you could have filmed it this way, but then it's like, no, but let's go back and remind the audience that they're watching.
What's unfair is that, like, for instance,
I'm understanding that too.
Yeah,
because me watch a movie, I want to get lost in the fantasy, but I am appreciating you guys that where it's like, if I would have seen Carrie doing the whole stopping thing from the perspective you said, like a 50 millimeter from his, the 50-50, for sure. I'm just pissed off that you guys.
Oh gosh, I was right, Castro.
What?
Sorry, pal. Possible sequel show.
Oh,
Screenwriter Andrew Nicole had pitched a sequel show to Truman Show. And there's a whole paragraph thing of a pitch.
No. Does it say something about Jim Carrey?
It's a sequel, I would assume. No, I didn't read it. But I didn't read the whole thing. But
No, I get it. I'm too stuck with my. Just watch it how it is. I'm getting my palate where it's like
the Truman Show has done something rare, and I think that maybe we could try to wrap it up with this.
Yeah.
The Truman Show has done something really rare. Critics fucking hated Jim Carrey. Hated him.
Still do a lot of people, man.
They hated Jim Carrey because of his, what's the Tom thing that what's his name, Tommy Lee Jones thing? Can't sanction your buffoonery. Like they couldn't sanction his buffoonery.
Yeah, especially Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah.
Siskel and Ebert hated everything that Jim Carrey had done before the Truman Show. They hated they like ripped Ace Ventura 2 apart. And called him the worst actor that ever lived.
Yeah, I've seen all those.
And I think they said something to the effect of like, this is the death of classic cinema or something. Like they tore him apart.
Howard Stern talking about that.
And then they saw the Truman Show and said, this is amazing. This was his retelling of Plato's Cave. Like, what a great thing. This and that and third. And made a public apology to Jim Carrey. And said, we fucked up, man. Sorry. Like, you are a dramatic actor. You could do this shit. Like, sorry.
Hell yeah.
Like, Truman Show's a great thing. There's very, very, very few instances. So I'm willing to bet that there's a list of maybe 100.
Of what?
100 films that both critics and live and audiences liked alike.
Okay.
There's very few instances of that. And the Truman Show is one of them. Cinephiles, filmmakers, critics, audiences.
So maybe y'all's palate need a little bit more.
No, but by the same token, if the audience doesn't understand Eternal Sunshine, that's not the film's fault. It's not the filmmaker's fault.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the audience.
It's a better film.
Yeah.
But why aren't audiences liking it? Why did it not make $100 million at the box office?
Well, just certain people just want to watch.
That's the
Are
whole
you calling the
conversation.
audience dumb?
No.
No, yeah.
But that's also why we have things like the Oscars. It's not like my dad. I remember he still does. He always complains like, "Oh man, like why are they giving this random?
Why aren't they giving Top Gun Best Picture?"
Yeah,
or whatever,
no. He'd be like, "Why are they giving this random film?" Like about some Victorian lady crying, Best Picture instead of Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
and he's like, Iron Man 2 kicked ass. Did you see how high up he went? And I'm like, okay, like that's cool. But again, I'll look at those other films that like win Oscars, and it's from a filmmaker to a filmmaker saying like, oh my god, what you achieved is higher up in our art form than any of us could like hope for, and we have so much respect. And it's okay that the audience didn't get it. That's why like when we look at a lot of like Oscar winning films, they're usually the ones that are like only in theaters for a while because they just don't have that kind of commercial success. But they're like talent.
Delal and I have this conversation all the time about spirits. I made some old fashions for my brother and my cousin Bones, and people shout out to Bones. He's actually a fellow viewer.
He's been on the show.
He's been on the show.
But today we're boneless.
Today we're boneless. I made old fashions for them out of this 18-year-old scotch that we
taste
bought. It's like $150 bottle. And my brother and I were like, yeah, fuck it. Like it's New Year's. Let's do something,
out.
And what was him? He was the one that was like, I'll buy it and shit. And we're like, I'm making some old fashions and, but my brother and I know better. We try it straight. Try the whiskey straight and figure out what these notes are and what it is. And my brother, in very disappointing fashion to me, because he's a fellow whiskey drinker, you should know better. He's been so stuck on getting just high alcohol content.
Okay.
Like fucking battery acid at this point. Like just like 102 proof bullshit, which has a utility. Just gets you drunk faster.
Yeah.
But, and people think it's heavy, whatever, it's heavy. And he thinks, oh, that's his palate in whiskey. He's like, well, I can handle a heavy whiskey and feel good about it. My palate in whiskey, it's like, well, it's not about the heaviness of the whiskey. It's about the sophistication of the whiskey. And can you decipher certain notes? Can you decipher? Yeah. And the law and I talk about this a lot because, like, we can still have a discussion about whiskey on that level. I handed my brother-in-law wanted to try it. Uh-huh. He's a beer drinker. He doesn't really do whiskey. He doesn't really do any spirits. And, he makes the face like, this is an 18-year-old, extremely rare whiskey. My point with that is that if you give somebody who's never tried a whiskey in their life or has tried it once every 10 years, they're going to make the face. They're going to think this is fucking gross and how can you drink this stuff?
Yeah,
and
sure.
I can't palate it. You give them a Pinot Noir from 1954 and they're like, it's too bitter here. That's not for me. Let me drink my wine spritzer or whatever. That's the difference in cinema. I think if
wine coolers.
If you can have a 6-pack of wine coolers and feel good about it, and that's going to make you feel good and happy. But if you can have a conversation about a whiskey that has flavor notes from the oak barrels of Central Spain, and like if you, that's the point.
I even I had a conversation similar to that today with one of my coworkers. Like she's new to the whole Starbucks family, and
is she single? Just ask.
For a friend? No, and I was like, oh, so like I ask everybody who joins our team, I'm like, so are you into coffee? And it's because,
or is this just a job for you?
Yeah, I'm like, or are you just wasting my fucking time?
This guy.
No, and like,
me anytime I talk to Cinema about
no,
it.
and it's funny because they haven't really gotten to know me yet. So like I'm like, oh, you like coffee? And then she's like, it's kind of gross, And then I'm like, oh,
it's bean water. What does Head call it?
Bean water. Yeah, no, and she's like, yeah, it's kind of like rough and bitter and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. And then she says like, oh man, like I used to get this, and then she describes like her Frappuccino order, and it's like a caramel frap with all these inclusions, and like she says, and like extra caramel and line the cup and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, that's like good coffee. I'm like, yeah, sounds delicious, sounds great. And then she's making herself a drink at the end. She's like, then she's making herself a drink at the end, and then she was like, oh, I really like this brown sugar one. Like, I'm going to try it again. And she's adding all these different flavorings. And I'm like, hey, well, maybe you should do blonde beans with that. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then I'm like, here, let me do this. And I was like, for the sanctity of coffee, I was like, let me do this. So then she poured a double shot of regular espresso. I pour a double shot of blonde. I'm like, before you pour anything into your cup, I want you to just smell them both. And then she was like, "What? Why?" And I'm like, "Just trust me, just please."
I love for this.
I was like, I clocked out of work. I came back behind the counter just to do this. I was like, "Please just smell both." Yeah. And then she smelled them, and then she's like, "Oh wow!" And I was like, "Yeah, there's a difference." And then I was like, "If you try this one, I know it's espresso, but it's gonna be it's a blonde roast, a lot lighter. It's gonna have a higher caffeine content, but it's gonna handle a lot smoother. If you try this one, espresso is a darker roast, but it's because they know that they have to cut through all the milk and flavor. No. If you're having a shaken espresso, you're relying more on the espresso's flavor, so you don't want to go darker, you want to go lighter." And then I told her, "Try this; it'll be night and day." And she tried it, and she's like, oh my God. So there is like coffee.
There's a point.
Like, so coffee's kind of different, right? I'm like, yes.
And that's,
it is.
Look, but I'm the same way. I just had this experience last night. So fucking, I'm the same way. I'm the same way with film exhibition. Oh dear God, I'm the same way with film exhibition because I'm telling like my in-laws when they see Gladiator 2. I hadn't seen either. So I was like, look,
we have a TV.
Yeah. And it wasn't there. It was like my sister-in-law, and they were kind of like, they all kind of wanted to spend time at my mother-in-law's because
It's okay. It's Roku.
yeah. and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law are like, yeah, let's watch it in your theater because you have a home theater that you've worked very hard on. You know, like this is cool.
The best way to watch it.
Yeah. And again, I'm very ceremonial with it. Like I've never seen a film before, and I know it's a fucking 7.1 Dolby mixed film. Like I have to watch.
Yeah.
By the way, Gladiator 2, the sound mixing is fucking amazing, dude.
Good.
It's terrific. I hadn't gotten so much like good sound mix out of that center channel till I saw Gladiator 2. I loved it. I was so happy because for a long time I was convinced that my fucking surround sound was like bad because I was like, all I'm hearing everything coming from the right channel. Whatever. The point is, we're watching Gladiator.
Must have gotten the
We
wrong
saw
download.
10 minutes of Gladiator at my house, me and Sandra, because I had never seen it. She's that way when we watch Gladiator 2 with my family tomorrow, you'll catch up. And then we remember my in-laws hadn't watched Gladiator 1. So we watched 10 minutes of it, and I'm like, yeah, cool. This is how to experience it for the first time, you know, in the biggest screen you can find, and surround sound. And then we go to my in-laws, and it's like on this TV smaller than this one.
No, my family.
And it's just like I'm sitting there like,
This is not how you watch
this is how you watch this movie. I just can't do it.
It's probably got like 3 colors left.
We had to leave because like the fireworks started and we're worried about our dogs. Well, our dog
for
Cooper,
you, man. That's
like
a good
Cooper.
guy.
Cooper just freaks out with the fireworks. So
Same.
we're like, we started Gladiator 2, 10 minutes in, and then Sandra's like, yeah, I think we should go because the dogs. And I was like, yeah, we should go. And then we go back to the house and we're like, we're watching Gladiator 2 at the house, right? She's like, yeah.
man.
So we watched Gladiator 2 at the house, and thank God. Like, again, there's a
That's how it
difference.
should be
There's just
watched,
like,
man.
it's just, you know, some people won't understand it, and some people think you're pretentious about coffee or whiskey or
Oh
cinema.
my God, yeah.
But that's the point.
Or
you know?
an asshole.
Yeah. But when you can
whatever that
appreciate
means.
something to that level.
Speaking of appreciation, I have a quick little note from our requester.
Oh, shit.
I asked him to give us a rating, 1 to 10. He said it's a 10. But he continues to say, while everyone says Private Ryan losing to Shakespeare in Love is a travesty, the biggest travesty to me is that Truman Show didn't win Best Writing.
Best writing.
Yeah.
What did it get? What else got nominated that year?
It was Saving Private Ryan, Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love swept that year, right?
Hold on. For writing.
The drop down menu.
No.
Yeah, Shakespeare in Love swept that year. I remember that. It was just kind of the upset.
What is it?
But he said it's the most ingenious premise that takes advantage of its story from a directing perspective.
Dude, with that line that
and
Shakespeare in
beautifully
Love should have
acted
won.
by everyone. I think the brilliance of the film is summarized in the final line. Let's see what else is on. That's what our
Cool.
requester had to say about the film.
Cool. Willing to bet this is on your letterbox too, isn't it, John Gunn? and very rightfully so. I don't know. I love Shakespeare in Love. Like
Never seen it.
It's terrific. It's
like
about
it.
Shakespeare writing Romeo and Juliet
I
in
like
real
it,
time. Like
but
he's fallen in love
not
with
as much as
somebody.
Truman.
That
Oh, wow.
person. It's great. I love Shakespeare in Love personally.
Yeah,
It's tainted history because Harvey Weinstein produced it, and it was a Miramax film.
Then I'm never gonna watch it.
Separate the. It's the best thing I've ever seen Gwyneth Paltrow in ever.
Oh
She's
my God,
fucking
yeah.
terrific in. And I don't like her.
She's usually not.
But yeah, Shakespeare in Love was
I
amazing.
I credit to this film. I
Yeah.
mean, like again, when we talk about like, I know we were using the term that you may have considered derogatory, but like chapter 1.
Yeah.
There's the reason some things are also in chapter 1 is because those are the hooks.
Yeah.
You don't want to start anybody off.
Oh, absolutely.
In cinema or whiskey,
Couldn't
coffee,
agree more.
anything.
You're
with-
gonna turn them up.
Yeah, exactly. If again, like you talked about your in-laws, that whole 18-year whiskey.
Yeah.
If you give that and that's their first introduction, it's harsh. There's too much complexity. You're not going to be in it.
But
But
I mean,
if
I had a conversation with my father-in-law about this because he comes over to the house and we're cooking and then I'm like pouring him a beer.
Mijo,
and
roku.
I pour him a beer in the frozen glasses that I have in my house,
nice,
you know.
yeah.
And my wife Sandra's like, hey, you should give him a Schafferhofer. So okay, yeah, you might like a Schafferhofer, pretty entry level beer that's palatable. And I pour it for him, and he's kind of like, I was like, well, it's a German
he's still
beer.
kinda-
It's
closer
grapefruit
to like a wine
and it's
cooler, yeah.
kind of, but it's got a little bit of that beer kick at the end.
Couple
So
hops.
he drinks it, and we start talking about whiskey, and we start talking about the collection of the whiskey I have, and then we start talking about this, and then he says, oh yeah, when I was younger, we would drink like Crown Royal, you know, and that was a thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Crown Royal.
Yeah, I mean that's back in the day.
Yeah, or you know, Bucanas. You know, that Bucanas was a thing, and I was like, yeah, yeah, those are whiskeys, all right, by definition, I guess.
Normal,
but again, I was trying to be nice. I was like, oh yeah, those were again entry level whiskeys. It's like, yeah, those are great. And then I pulled out when he brought up Bucanas, I pulled out like Bucanas Two Souls, which is you can only find in Mexico, you can't find it in the States, and it's basically Bucanas finished. It's Scotch. Finished in Don Julio casks. Oh. So it's got that tequila kind of aftertaste. And it's a great, again, kind of a great conversation piece to be like, hey, Bucanas is good if you're 15, but this thing's actually pretty great. Maybe give this a shot. And again, it's a entry-level conversation.
40.
You don't want to turn people off.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, with me, when I was falling in love with movies, like, not even as a filmmaker, but just like as an audience member realizing, like, whoa, movies are way more impactful than just these, like, popcorn things to throw on. I mean, watching this, like, at the start of, like, my college years and the start of when I was finding my love for filmmaking. I mean, that was super instrumental. I remember, it was my first semester when I switched over into digital media production, and movies like that, I was like, oh my God, there's so much to talk about, and it made me feel so many different ways. And
popcorn movies can be good, man. Popcorn movies can be great. Shawshank Redemption is a popcorn flick.
I'm a sucker for some popcorn. Like
you know, it's a good popcorn flick.
The new one in Netflix with Jason Bateman.
I want to see it. I've been hearing good things about it. Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Carry on.
Carry on. Yeah.
Dude, I haven't seen him in a role like that. It's pretty fun.
I listened to his podcast to what's it called Smartless. And they're like Sean and Will Arnett were like, dude, we haven't seen a role like that in years with you. Like, good fucking job.
What's your typical,
Jude Law comes out too, right? Like Jude Law acts opposite of him. Is that understand correctly?
It's the guy from the Kings.
Yeah, the guy from the Kingsman stuff.
Kingsman.
The Kingsman? Oh,
the kid, kind of.
Yeah. The guy who plays Elton John.
Taron Egerton.
Yeah.
Taron Egerton.
Taron Egerton. He's good. I like him.
But it's your typical, right?
It's popcorn flick.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman, he's known for comedy.
Yeah.
Does his,
he does like a serious villainous role.
Really serious.
Even something like when we talk about like Walter Mitty, I still want to like recommend that to people to like watch, because again, stuff like that is what gets you into like, wow, there's something to value here. This isn't just a throwaway thing. I mean, even when it comes to like the different art forms like cinematography. I remember my love of cinematography was coming from things like what is it called?
This is interesting.
From Secret Life of Walter Mitty. The shots and the beauty and the somberness, but the hope. And I mean, I felt like that was my first kind of way of like thinking like, wow, the camera really is doing something here.
I find myself revisiting films like that when I need to remind myself why I love this.
Yeah.
Which I've had a ton of in these past couple months. Like I was talking to Jason Reitman about he just did SNL and great fucking film if you haven't seen it, terrific picture. But I sent him a Happy New Year's and he did this podcast called Talking Pictures, TCM podcast, and it's like this is fucking great. Go listen to Talking Pictures. Talking Pictures is about
Talking Pictures.
Ben Mankiewicz, who's the main host of TCM, basically asking people like Jason Reitman, Margot Robbie, like, hey, what was your movie going experience? Like, what do you remember being your most memorable film or, your most memorable theater experience, shit like that. And, Jason Reitman's, and I tell him, I'm like, hey, thank you for this. This is great. And I told him, I was like, hey, I just screamed Up in the Air for my wife. Like, she'd never seen it before.
There's Clooney.
And I told her, like, my wife's very ambitious, but she also gets very stressed. And the Anna Kendrick character I was like, that character reminds me of you. Like, she's super ambitious, but she's super young, and she thinks her life is over, but it's really just getting started. And it's just this thing. And I remember being like, oh, this is it. Rewatching Up in the Air, rewatching early Jason Reitman films that I fell in love with. Like, I had to tell Jason, like, thank you, because it reminded me.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And he's always very sweet. But I remember I have to go back to Juno every once in a while, I have to go back to these films that are very palatable. Juno isn't that palatable because of the dialogue and Diablo Cody writing. Up in the Air isn't that palatable, but they're, for me, these Whiplash. But they're relatively...
I was thinking of Whip It. The one...
I love Whip It. Oh my gosh, I love Whip It. Yeah,
the skateboarding one? Or which one's
it's rollerblading.
Yeah, rollerblading, yeah.
Directed by Drew Barrymore, by the way. Yeah. Fucking great.
She also gets like beat up in that movie. It's really
she
funny.
does. I love those films. Those are what made me want to be, quote unquote, back in the day, what I thought the epitome of cinema was indie filmmaking.
Okay.
I want to be an indie filmmaker like Brightman and like these indie Texas films like Linklater. Like, there's still a piece of me that wants to maintain that fire of that, you know, but I have to revisit those films. And
That's interesting.
dare I say they're entry level films for me now because you develop your palate and, you know. But I have to revisit those. I will always revisit those films. They will always hold a special place in my
You know
heart.
how far I've come from like my palate? I used to have, damn it, I'm gonna have,
A stuffed animal named.
I used to have the whole collection of Jean-Claude Van Damme's.
But again, there's a utility in that too.
But that's what I grew up with. Like that's I was into sports.
That was cinema
sport.
for you.
I guess I liked it. I put it on every day, and I was like, oh.
I've been playing Mortal Kombat a lot lately, man. So I know you're feeling. I know.
But I'm not thinking about it. It's like watching. Like now I think about Kickboxer. Horrible film. Horrible film. Why does he start dancing in the middle?
There's something about that,
But
man.
you know
There's
what I'm saying?
something
Like,
about
that's where I started, and it's
appreciating
like,
your growth
exactly.
in cinema and appreciating that there is a
I would
growth.
see Jean-Claude how he would act and stuff like, okay.
Yeah.
I think the one I had that with recently, and you know,
Can't believe I admitted that.
my brother wanted to put it on the other day, and we watched it. Was I had never realized how goofy Batman and Robin was.
No,
I
God,
left it
man.
alone for so long, but I remember
Those.
being
You want to watch a bad George Clooney film? You want to watch a good one? Watch Up in the Air. You want to watch a bad one? You watch Batman.
so
and
funny, and I was like,
poor
oh,
Joe
man.
Schumacher, man. He's rolling in his grave right now. Poor bastard.
How about you freeze?
Joe Schumacher was such a good filmmaker too, man.
Are those the suits that had the...
Yeah,
Cool, yeah. Bat nipples.
the bat nipples.
I just remember when he's drying the clothes, for
Yeah.
no reason, he's doing all this...
So silly. It's so silly.
This is a kid, it was cool, I
They
guess.
freeze Robin and have to unfreeze him. Oh god. Anyway,
Poison Ivy. Michelle Pfeiffer. No, was it Michelle
Yeah,
Pfeiffer?
Michelle
Was Michelle Pfeiffer?
Well-
No, she was Catwoman, wasn't she? Not Poison Ivy. Who was Poison Ivy?
Oh, yeah, that was Catwoman.
Anyways,
Poison
the
Ivy.
point is,
Thank you.
appreciate your growth in cinema, and there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with
that's a
that.
good way to-
And John Gon, thank you for this recommendation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Truman Show is something we needed to bucket list off, and it's a great film, and you should go watch it if you haven't seen it.
Awesome film.
It's definitely something for you to kick off, and maybe even as a cinephile, if you're afraid to show your significant other or like your parents or somebody who like you want to bring into this world, you kick them off with Truman Show.
In the spirit of we want to do more interactions,
Yeah.
I'll throw the question out there, and if you want to like answer in the comments,
I'm sucking it.
Timestamp that.
Okay, that's the question. No, the question being that if you had to put this film like in, let's say like us, we always talk about the college class, you know, and the classes is like all the films, like from most complicated to least complicated. Like, are you putting this at day one, or do you feel like there's a lot more merit that we're missing here? And yeah, you would put it later on in, like, you know, where would you place this in?
It's definitely not a day one, bro.
Yeah.
It's maybe like chapter 2, maybe chapter 3.
Yeah, where does it lie in the book? You know, like
You get what, 12 weeks a semester? I'm not gonna put it at chapter 5, guys.
Bro,
I gotta
also
show
this
them
one-
fucking city lights at
This
chapter
was-
5.
this was
I can't
my-
show them.
I'll say this for at least my philosophy class. This was like the midterm thing. This was like in the middle. Like you've been exposed
That's a
to.
good teacher. That's a good professor
Yeah, it
right
was
there.
like you've already been exposed to like these higher end concepts
Yeah.
and like the different ideas. Like now, chew on this with a new lens. And
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's what you need. So
And,
you know,
and even
where
if you
would rate
don't want to comment, just put 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
just the rating.
tell us your rating.
I really am interested in what people think of this film.
It's gonna be one of those. We should have done this on air. I promise we'll do it next time if we all agree that it's a good idea. We'll put them in like a random selector. Choose 5 from the request films, and then like randomize.
We could do it like
What's next?
so they can know maybe at the beginning or at the end.
Yeah,
Just to
yeah. We'll
keep them
figure something out.
enticed. Yeah,
But keep sending in your films. I know we have a list to go through already for what we're gonna pick next week. I'm sorry I don't have that title for you, but
They're really
a lot
good.
more to come
a
from
lot
us.
more to come. Yeah, we're really
2025 is
digging
gonna be a
deep
good
into the
year
podcast for
And
this.
stay tuned for the behind the scenes, the little shorts that we're gonna
Yeah.
be putting out in all the social medias.
If you want to see any of us in little shorts, let us know.
And
We're
we
gonna get
also
to know
have
this
a
guy, that
lot
guy, this guy,
to
me,
kind of
this guy.
announce when it comes to the films and film festivals. And I think I can announce this one already because of when this is coming out, but this is an exclusive for the podcast. Our film Sohos at this time will be screening in India at the end of January for the Kalakari Film Festival. So, yeah, we're going.
I genuinely wanted to go so bad. I stayed up all night, like the other night after you told me, and I
looked at flights and
I looked at flights and everything, dude. You know how much a 4-star hotel is in that city?
They're cheap.
They're cheap, right?
$25.
I know.
A night?
I know.
Like once we can get there, like
But the flights are
how much is a flight?
$3,000.
no.
How much is a flight?
Round trip. I was able to get for like 1,006.
I wouldn't trust that.
I have two of me that I have to think about, okay?
Not some pilot you fucking met
No.
at the bar.
So what you do? Okay. I already mapped it out. So here, what you do? So you go from here.
Oh my God! Don't tell me we're gonna land somewhere.
No.
We have to couple stops.
Yeah, there's
Here-
at least from El Paso, at least
Here
3
to
connecting
Dallas,
flights.
Dallas to London.
That's fine.
What
London
did I just say?
to
At least 3 connecting flights.
India.
And I'm willing to
London.
bet Kalakari doesn't have their own airport. You'd fly to
they do,
Mumbai. They do.
Yeah, because so that city, it's not Kalakari. I forgot what the name of the city is.
Calcutta.
No, it's not. But
You go from Calcutta to Kalakari, I think.
No, but Kalakari isn't the city. But if you look at the website, it even says it's in the city of Dubas or something like that. But anyway, that is it's a central hub there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a central place,
Yeah.
and it's. Anyway, I'm not going.
Thank you to the Kalakari Film Festival for
get
accepting our
excited with our
films. They've
films.
actually been extremely nice, and we're still talking to them about a lot of the promo stuff and stuff like. But
Can we
we've
announce
officially
that
been
we
accepted,
scored?
and it'll be screening there. As we hear from more film festivals, we'll let you guys know where it's going to be screening. But
Congrats,
thank
man,
you,
congrats.
Kalakari Film Festival. It's a dream of ours. That's the first international film festival that it's going to be screening at. So, and you guys know how much we love Indian cinema, and we've talked about Sayaji
dude.
Ray, and
Yes.
and
Because of
it's
you
a very
guys.
special thing for
Because of
me
you guys.
so far because this film festival is 3 hours from the birthplace of Sayaji Ray. That to me is just awesome. Thank you to Kalakari Film Festival. You'll be hearing more of that from us too on our social media and what Tower's up to, BTS of the films, and
We should start with that.
expect more from the Towercast podcast this year also. We already got at least a couple of guests lined up that we're really excited about.
You guys have to stay
Which
tuned.
you'll see. But thank you, John Gahn, for this recommendation. Thank you guys for tuning into the WatchTower Film Podcast. Stay tuned for next week. Happy New Year. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Love you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Love, comment, and follow.
In case I don't see you later. How did it go?
Fuck you, Jason.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Fuck you, Jason.
Hey, fuck you, Jason.